On my 80th birthday, my husband and adopted daughter pushed me off the rooftop and let me fall to my death. After my death, they dug up my ancestral grave, all because over 60 years ago, I refused to give the impoverished student I had sponsored money for milk powder when she asked. I advised her to have an abortion, but she dropped out of school to have the child, and eventually died in a rented room due to lack of money for medical treatment. My husband resented me. It's all your fault for ruining Ran. If you had just given her the money, I would have married her already, but it's okay. The adopted daughter you took in is actually the child of Ran and me. After you die, all your money will be hers. Fortunately, you don't want to have children, you deserve it. It was only then that I realized the tuition and living expenses I had funded for my husband's university education were used by him to support the child born to Lin Ran. If I could live my life again. You want to have children, right? Go ahead and have them. Let's see if you can scrape together enough money for the baby's Formula 1 until my 80th birthday. I always believed I was very fortunate in this life. I was born into a wealthy family, loved by my parents, and was an only child. After growing up, I smoothly took over the company. My romantic life was also very stable. I dated and married the boy my family had supported since childhood. My marriage has been happy since we got married, and my husband supports my decision not to have children. We adopted a well-behaved and lovely daughter. After our adopted daughter grew up, she attended a prestigious university and joined the company under my arrangement. My life has been free of illness and disaster. It wasn't until I was over 70 that I could no longer walk and had to use a wheelchair, but unexpectedly, on my 80th birthday, my adopted daughter, in league with my husband, pushed me onto the rooftop. They told me it was all because of the impoverished student I had sponsored many years ago. If it weren't for you, I would have been with Ran long ago. You're clearly so wealthy. Why couldn't you have given some of it to Ran to support her pregnancy and childbirth? If you had given her money, Ran wouldn't have dropped out of school and died in a rented room. I've endured for so many years, all for this moment. I want you to truly feel the pain Ran felt back then. The adopted daughter also agreed. I can't believe it, I questioned my adopted daughter. And how could you treat me like this? I've been so good to you all these years and even entrusted you with the company, yet you treat me this way. My daughter, whom I had painstakingly raised, now looked at me with eyes filled with hatred. You are not my mother at all. It's all your fault. It's all your fault for not giving my mother money. If it weren't for you, my real mother should still be fine. Do I still need to recognize you as my mother? You deserve all of this. I can't believe she would say that, my husband said with a sneer. Surprise, surprise. And is my daughter with Ran. After Ran died, I raised her by myself. Thanks to you not wanting children, I have a legitimate reason to bring her back. I'm telling you, you deserve this. All your family's assets will be inherited by my daughter and Ran's daughter in the future. I will dig up your ancestral graves and disturb your parents' peace. Even in death, this is retribution for your unwillingness to pay. For being a rich and heartless person. It was only then that I remembered my husband had tricked me into making a will the day before yesterday, stating that my assets would be inherited by my daughter after my death. I had originally thought that since I was old, I wanted to prevent relatives from affecting my adopted daughter after my death, so I did as he wished, never expecting them to lay hands on me today. In the end, my husband and adopted daughter pushed me off the rooftop, and I was brutally beaten to death by the fall. My ashes were thrown into a sewer after I died. And even my parents' graves were dug up by them. In this new life, they won't get a single cent from me. I'll see if the two of them can even afford milk powder for their child too. I checked the time. I had been reborn to the beginning of my 3rd year of high school. I was in a high school classroom that felt long unfamiliar. I took advantage of the break to step out and make a call, tell my parents to stop funding Gu Chen and Lu Ran. I was clearly 80 years old in my previous life, but after being reborn, it seems I only gained an extra memory. My personality and temper are more like when I was young, perhaps influenced by my body. My parents were a little worried after hearing what I said and asked if I was being bullied at school. They told me to tell them if I was, and not to endure it alone. Listening to my parents' voices made me even angrier. In my past life, I was poor at judging people, which led to my parents facing a calamity even after their deaths. It's okay, Mom and Dad, I'll handle it myself. Just remember to stop their financial support. My parents didn't press further and agreed. Later that afternoon, a friend called me from the doorway. Lin Shuang, someone is looking for you outside. I went out and saw Lu Ran as expected. She was wearing a school uniform, which concealed her slightly protruding belly. She looked around at the people nearby and then quietly pleaded with me. Classmate Lin, I need to talk to you. Can we go somewhere private? Her tearful eyes made it seem as if I had bullied her. The people around us couldn't help but look over. In my previous life, I agreed to her request and found a secluded spot. As a result, when she dropped out of school, rumors spread that I had bullied her, causing Lu Ran to withdraw from school. Although my classmates didn't believe it, my reputation at school suffered. I was too lazy to explain at the time, but later it was dug up as a black mark and used by business rivals for public opinion attacks, which took some effort to clarify. Sorry, I'm not going to talk to you. This time, I turned around and prepared to return to my seat. No, don't go. Please. Lu Ran suddenly knelt down, grabbed my clothes, and burst into tears. Help, someone is morally kidnapping me. Oh my God. People are trying to frame me even in high school. I haven't done anything. Quick, quick, go call the teacher. Someone is trying to harm me. Since Lu Ran doesn't want to be known, I'll make a big fuss, I shouted loudly, and hearing the commotion, a crowd gathered around us. My classmates also stood up and spoke for me. Lu classmate, Lin Anjia is rich, but you don't have to go this far. Hearing the whispers around her, Lu Ran's face turned pale. I didn't. I just wanted to ask her for help. I took the opportunity to pull back the clothes she was holding and took a step back to prevent her from framing me. She's just pregnant. Who would be responsible if she miscarried? If you're not the one, stand up. Who asks for help while kneeling? I think you're trying to frame me. Lu Ran couldn't help but stand up. Tears welled up in her eyes, making her look pitiful. 3. Since you want my help, just say it. Lu Ran looked around at the people and couldn't speak. She just kept her head down, looking at the ground. Seeing that she wasn't speaking for a long time, some people playfully shouted a few times. Speak up. Are you pretending to be mute? Yes, what can't be said in public. I shouted to the people around me. Shut up quickly, or she'll end up kneeling for you. Then all of us will be considered collective bullying. Watching the show has drawn us into it. The surrounding people fell silent, but the impression of Lu Ran morally manipulating them was solidified. Seeing that she still didn't react after a while, I prepared to leave. She suddenly let out a yell. Can you give me some money? Borrow money? Why, I can't say. Just give me a few $100,000. As soon as she said that, everyone around gasped. A few $100,000. Lu Ran really dares to think. No, why? A few $100,000 is just a month's pocket money for you. Why can't you lend it to me? Heh, I have money, but why should I give it to you for no reason? Lu Ran clutched her clothes, looking like a pitiful damsel. If you don't give me money, I won't take the college entrance exam. Then all the money you took before was wasted. I laughed. Lu Ran had threatened me the same way in my previous life, but my financial support was out of kindness. Whether she took the exam or not was none of my business, and her doing well wouldn't benefit me at all. Of course, I refused and cut off her financial support since she didn't need it. I gave it to someone who needed it more. At least someone who wouldn't get pregnant before marriage and ruin their own future. After hearing Lu Ran's words, everyone around thought she had a problem. My friend glanced at me, a mocking expression on their face. How did you end up sponsoring an idiot? An idiot is one thing, but an idiot who tries to extort money is another, I retorted. Lu Ran seemed angry and yelled at me. How can you insult me like this? It's just a little money, isn't it? Who cares about your money? Fine, then I'll cut off your sponsorship. Since you dislike it so much, I'll give it to others who need help. No, how can you do that? That's my money. I smiled and pulled my friend's arm. What do you think if I treat her living expenses as a scholarship? My friend thought for a moment. Count me in. Our school is a very good private school, and many children of wealthy families study here. Of course, it also admits some poor students with excellent academic performance. My parents used to teach me to have empathy and do more charity work. I used my pocket money to sponsor dozens of students. Most people at the school know about this, and sometimes those I sponsor come to me when they encounter difficulties, and I am happy to give them money. But as the number of people grows, you encounter all sorts of individuals. Lu Ran completely treats me like a sucker, even expecting me to pay for her pregnancy expenses. How is that possible? For Lu Ran got anxious. No, you're bullying me. That money is mine. How can you give it to someone else? I don't care. She stomped her feet in anger. I looked at her and asked, with a smile, all right, if that's the case, stop making a fuss for now and tell me why you need the money. I might consider it. Don't you need money? Go on, tell me. She quieted down, her eyes darting around as if she had been greatly wronged. Finally, as if she had made up her mind, she spoke. Because I'm pregnant, I need money to raise the child. I don't need much, just a few $100,000, enough for me to give birth. I will be grateful to you. Those around took a deep breath, staring at Lu Ran's belly in shock. My friend patted me on the shoulder. You really don't bet who you sponsor. You might as well give it to me. At least I won't get you pregnant and then expect you to raise the child. I know she'll probably make fun of me for this for the rest of my life. I told you, give me the money quickly." Lu Ran looked at the noisy crowd, wanting to leave but not having gotten her money yet. She quickly said, "Yes. And I also said I'd consider it, and the result of my consideration is that I won't give it to you." Lu Ran glared at me and asked angrily, "I've already told you. Why aren't you giving it to me? I'm pregnant and need money. If you don't give me money, how can I, a young girl, raise a child?" I'm almost laughing with anger. She's really so self-righteous. Don't blame me if you get pregnant. It's not like I made you pregnant. Why are you looking for me instead of the father of the child? What? Is the child mine? In my past life, I advised her to have an abortion, but she refused to, saying it was the crystallization of her love with her boyfriend. Her family also disagreed, but she would rather drop out of school than have an abortion. She even went to live alone in a rented room. In the end, she died because she didn't go to the hospital to save money, and her child became my adopted daughter. I will never help her raise children again in this lifetime. You've gone too far. How could you humiliate me like this? You're just jealous of me. That's why you don't want to help me." My friend cursed at me. "Sister, if your brain is broken, go get it treated. You don't even have money to raise a child, so why have one? Are you going to feed it air? You're sick, right? And what is there to be jealous of? Jealous of you getting pregnant before marriage in high school, the father of the child not taking responsibility, and you having to ask for financial aid to have the baby." Lu Ran, after hearing these words, still refused to leave. Just then, Guchen arrived. He grabbed Lu Ran's hand, as if seeing himself as a hero shielding her, and looked at me like an enemy looking at his eyes. I knew Guchen had also been reborn. "Lin Shuang, how can you be so vicious? Ran, a weak woman, being ganged up on and bullied by all of you is too much. This is bullying. Have you no conscience?" The onlookers who were just watching the show were unhappy. They were just watching and now they were being labeled as bullies. "Are you sick? She got pregnant before marriage and then asked Lin Shuang for money, and she's putting on such a pitiful act, making it seem like we're bullying her." "Exactly. Don't you have eyes and ears? I'm telling you, she's the one who's morally blackmailing others. Did you hear that? She's the one who's morally blackmailing. I was just watching the show. I didn't do anything. You're accusing me without knowing anything. Why are you defending her so much? Could you be the father of the child?" Guchen's expression turned grim. He had never been yelled at like this before. Hearing these words, he took Lu Ran's hand. "Yes, I am the father of the child. Lin Shuang, give me the money quickly, or don't blame me for being rude. Come on, do you still want to rob me? Let me tell you, I only have Lu Ran in my heart. Don't even think I like you. Are you sick? When did I ever like you? And why are you asking me for money? Are you begging? If you're so principled, raise them yourself. Aren't you the father? Why aren't you giving money?" Guchen was stunned, then shouted again, "I don't need your money. I can raise the mother and daughter myself." "Fine, don't worry. I'll cut off your financial support too." He was taken aback. Having lived a life of luxury for many years, he had long forgotten that I had been funding his living and tuition expenses since elementary school. Even the money for raising his child in college was diverted from the living expenses I provided. These funds were transferred to his account punctually every month, not only covering his tuition and living expenses completely but even leaving a surplus. However, this also meant that Guchen had no habit of saving money, and now that he was broke, even figuring out what to eat next month would be a problem. He thought of a response, but glancing at Lu Ran behind him, he forced himself to say, "If you're not giving me the money, so be it. I'm a grown man. Do I lack your money? Don't think that just because you have some money, everyone has to fawn over you. At worst, I'll work to support her and the child." Lu Ran looked at Guchen with admiration, and Guchen looked back at her. I applaud. What a touching scene. I wonder how long his so-called liking and love can last under the wear and tear of daily life. 5. The teacher arrived and inquired about the situation. They took Lu Ran and Guchen away, and then invited their parents over. Lu Ran's parents slapped Guchen several times on the spot and tried to drag Lu Ran away for an abortion, but Lu Ran absolutely refused and said she would sever ties with her parents. Her parents were furious and said they would no longer care about her. Guchen's father passed away when he was young, and only his mother worked hard to raise him. I heard my son got a girl pregnant in high school and I was so angry I fainted. Her health was already poor, and the extreme anger caused her to pass away suddenly. After Guchen handled the funeral, he rushed into the classroom and yelled at me, "Did you do this on purpose? It's all your fault. My mom is gone. I'm telling you, I'm not breaking up with Lu Ran. My mom is gone. You have to compensate me. At least 2 million, not a penny less. Are you crazy? Didn't you do something foolish? Nonsense. If it weren't for you, How would my mother have known? It's all because of you. Seeing the teacher approach, I didn't want to argue with him and had the teacher pull him away. He and Luran felt that the whole world was obstructing their love. They were not wrong. The whole world was wrong. They enjoyed the feeling of fighting against the world for love. However, it has nothing to do with me. If they want to persist, let them persist. I asked my parents for a few bodyguards. Guchen was put on record, and since the two of them had no source of income, they had to work. Luran was physically weak and couldn't do heavy work. Guchen couldn't bear to see her tired, so he worked to earn money himself. In the beginning, Guchen could still barely manage to work and attend school. Later, as Luran's pregnancy progressed, the doctor recommended she eat more nutritious food, not just radishes and greens. There were also various examination fees, costing several hundred each time. Gradually, the expenses for Luran's pregnancy far exceeded his part-time salary. In the end, Guchen dropped out of school. He worked to earn money to support Luran and her child. He thought that with his talent, he could find a high-paying job, or with his memories from his past life, he could invest and make money. But he forgot that he was now just an underage individual without a diploma, and no legitimate company would hire him. He wanted to invest in companies with future prospects, but found he had neither the capital nor the connections and resources to do so. He had no choice but to do some manual labor to earn some money. He hoped to save some money in the future, make a comeback, and make me pay a few days. Before the college entrance examination, Luran was about to give birth. This time, Guchen was prepared in advance and went to the hospital. Mother and daughter were safe. Therefore, Luran missed the college entrance examination. After giving birth, more money was spent on milk powder and diapers, all of which were unavoidable expenses in his previous life. Guchen hired someone to take care of the child. This time, they had no money and had to do it themselves. Guchen had to go to work, so the job of taking care of the child fell entirely on Luran. Luran was just a high school student, and no one had told her how to be a mother. She had to figure it out on her own, and they couldn't sleep well when the baby cried in the middle of the night. The baby needed to be fed and have their diaper changed every so often. She couldn't rest for a moment and was completely exhausted. Luran had no one to take care of her during her postpartum confinement, and she went home early to save on medical expenses. Her body didn't recover properly, leaving her with lingering health issues, not only leaking milk and urine but also experiencing back pain when sitting. While learning how to care for a baby online, she couldn't help but see the lives of other pregnant women. They had the love and company of their parents and partners, unlike her, who was alone facing a life of poverty. Even the children's diapers had to be used sparingly. A friend called. Luran, I have my own phone now. How have you been lately? I'm telling you, I got into university, and it's an undergraduate program. My mom finally agreed to buy me a phone and gave me several thousand to go on a trip and rest well, so I'm contacting you now. Do you want to go together? By the way, you're so good at academics. What university did you get into? I heard your school has an event where everyone in the top 10 gets all their university tuition covered, plus cash rewards. Aren't you always in the top few? I'm so envious of you. You don't even have to spend your own money. Luran couldn't answer immediately and hung up the phone amidst her friends questioning. Her old friends, having just finished their college entrance exams, were enjoying their holidays and looking forward to university life. While she hadn't even attended the exam, it seemed like everyone else was happy and content. While she was trapped in a painful life with no future, she began to regret her decision, wondering if giving birth to this child was the right choice. Facing the noisy child, she no longer found it cute but grew increasingly annoyed. It was this child who had ruined her life. Otherwise, she would also be happily preparing for university with her peers. She's in the top 10 of her grade. If it were her, she would definitely get into a good university and find a good job in the future. She began to fantasize. If she hadn't had this child, if she hadn't known Guchen, if she were still studying 6. But life has to go on, and poverty always brings friction. Luran and Guchen had an argument because Guchen thought Luran spent money carelessly and didn't know how to save. I work hard outside to earn money, and you just waste it like this. Don't you have clothes to wear? Why buy new ones? Luran retorted when she heard this. What do you mean? I can't even buy a piece of clothing. I haven't bought any clothes in months. Besides, my body changed after giving birth, and my old clothes don't fit anymore. That's why I bought new ones. Not fitting is just an excuse. Luran got angry when he said that. You're treating me like this because I had a child. You weren't like this before. You clearly promised you would treat me well. I gave up my college entrance exams for you. If it weren't for you, I should be preparing to go to university now. Guchen became even angrier upon hearing this. His grades were good, and with the memories of his past life, He felt that Lu Ran owed him. After all, Lu Ran wasn't the only one who gave up. He gave up being with me, gave up a prestigious university, and gave up his previous wealth and status. Thinking of this, he became furious. Yes, I did it on purpose. If you don't want to, you can leave, but where else can you go? Your parents already disowned you, you have no money, so leave if you dare, you'll be crawling back within a day anyway. Lu Ran couldn't believe that the person she loved had such a face. She returned to the bedroom in tears, closed the door, and covered her ears tightly. She didn't want to hear the child crying outside the door, nor the sound of Guchen smashing things. Lu Ran still stayed. She discussed with Guchen that she wanted to repeat her studies, but Guchen was unwilling. He said who would take care of their child if she repeated her studies. In the end, Lu Ran couldn't go. In a life of pain that no one understood, Lu Ran developed a gambling habit. At first, she just played mahjong to pass the time, but later she was introduced to gambling by a friend. She secretly took money to gamble behind Guchen's back. She lost at first, thinking she would stop after one more round, but then she won. From then on, she became increasingly engrossed in it. Days gradually wore away, the love between them, and arguments became routine. Linen, this life is called Gusiyu as she wished. She lived a life raised by her biological mother. However, her mother did not like her, nor did she want to take care of her. Feeding her was done according to her own will. Fortunately, she had the memories of her previous life and Guchen's care to survive. Lu Ran didn't understand why Guchen was so good to Gusiyu, but she didn't care. As long as Guchen brought money home for her to gamble, the money Guchen brought home was all used by her as gambling funds, and not much money was spent on Gusiyu. Guchen had long wanted to abandon Lu Ran, and then beg me for forgiveness to continue being his consort. However, Guchen was also planning that since I had no children, I would have to adopt Gusiyu and let Gusiyu inherit the company. For the sake of the child, I would forgive him, and all the glory and wealth would still be his. But Gusiyu was unwilling to go with him to find me at first, and he had no choice but to persuade her. No matter what Guchen said, Gusiyu was determined to stay by Lu Ran's side. Gusiyu had memories of her past life. Originally, Lu Ran died early to give birth to her, and coupled with Guchen's upbringing, the image of her mother Lu Ran in her mind was constantly beautified. Believes all my efforts are inferior to Lu Ran's. I was only for an heir. Lu Ran is the one who truly loves her. If Lu Ran were alive, she would have treated her better, and she would have had a more gentle and loving mother. So, in the beginning of her life, she still wanted to get close to Lu Ran and was unwilling to leave. Had high expectations for Lu Ran. However, Lu Ran's actions completely shattered her illusions. Not only did she not take good care of her, but she also beat and scolded her when she lost money gambling. It's all because of you, you slut, that I've fallen to this point. If it weren't for you, would I, a top student, have to gamble for money? Why aren't you dead yet? Gusiyu was just a child and could only endure the beating in silence. She still held on to hope, thinking I had done something. As long as she tried hard, her mother would get better and see her love for her mother and then like herself and be good to her. But no, even though Gusiyu behaved well, Lu Ran still found her bothersome. Once, Gusiyu had a fever and wanted Lu Ran to buy her medicine, but Lu Ran refused. She was anxious to go out gambling and couldn't be bothered with Gusiyu. Mom, please, I'm so hot and uncomfortable. Get lost, you're just faking it. What's wrong with having a fever? You'll get over it if you just bear with it. In the end, it was Guchen who came back to save Gusiyu. Later, when Gusiyu was old enough for primary school, she asked Lu Ran for school fees. Lu Ran refused, and Guchen was a little angry. I give you so much money every month, where does it all go? What do you mean, so much money? How much can you even earn? You should look at how much money the men next door bring home. There is none, so there is none. Guchen was angry and wanted to hit Lu Ran, but Gusiyu stopped him. Dad, don't hit Mom. I can pick up trash myself to earn money. In the end, the family parted on bad terms, and Gusiyu ran around every day picking up trash to save money for books. Later, after finally saving enough, it was snatched away by Lu Ran. Mom, that's the money I saved for books for school, and I have to give it to the teacher. What book money? Your money is my money. Can't you study without books? I didn't have money to buy books back then either, and I still did well by borrowing from classmates to study. Get lost, don't pull me. It's rare that I'm in a good mood and won't hit you, so don't force me to beat you. Gusiyu had no choice but to watch Lu Ran leave. She regretted it a little, but was unwilling to accept the reality, and could only tell herself in her heart that it was all her fault. It was all my fault for not wanting to give money that led to my mother not loving her. Lu Ran's gambling amounts grew larger and larger, and later she even lost the family's house. Seeing that the truth could no longer be hidden, she was scared and took the family's only valuable possession, and prepared to run away. Mom, what are you doing? Get lost, it'll be too late if I don't leave now. They'll kill me. Mom, don't you want me anymore? Want you? My life is ruined because of you. What else do I want? Gusiyu watched Lu Ran run away with her own eyes and called Guchen back later. A group of debt collectors came and drove the two of them out 7 after the college entrance examination. I donated all the money I had originally planned to give to Lu Ran and Guchen, my pocket money, and the rewards from my parents, as scholarships to students with excellent grades. My friends heard about this and also voluntarily donated a lot of money. The school held an event for this later. I went to university, and after graduating, I took over the family company just like in my previous life. With the experience from my past life, I performed better, and the company flourished. One day, my assistant informed me that a man and a child were looking for me downstairs. I had them brought up. It was Guchen and Gusiyu. Gusiyu was wearing tattered clothes and appeared much thinner than her peers due to malnutrition. She also had many injuries on her face and walked with a limp. Upon seeing me, she said with extreme reluctance, "You are the reason my parents are like this. They shouldn't be, even with the lessons from the previous life. Why are you still unwilling to contribute money?" Her expression wasn't that of a simple child. "I suspect my adopted daughter has returned," I said to her with a smile. "Isn't this what you wanted? I haven't interfered at all in this life." "Nonsense. If it weren't for you, how could Mom not like Dad and me? Clearly, in the last life, she was willing to die for me. Dad also said Mom loved him. Mom was a gentle and beautiful girl. If she were alive, she would surely treat me kindly. But the mom now is a scumbag who only knows how to gamble. It must be because of you that she became this way." I found her appearance amusing. "I'm the one who got her into gambling. What can you do about it? And why would she like you? You've ruined her future. She's just like you, constantly romanticizing things that never happened. She'll definitely think she'd be better off without you. So, you hate me as you should, and she'll definitely hate you too." Gusiyu's face turned pale, and she lowered her head, holding back tears. Seeing us at each other's throats, Guchen took Gusiyu's hand, and "Apologize to your mother quickly, Lin Shuang. I was wrong. For the sake of the child, can you forgive us?" Gusiyu looked at me unwillingly, but outwardly she still apologized obediently. "I'm sorry, Mom, I was wrong. Can you forgive me? I will take good care of you from now on." At this point, these two are still wishful thinking. Your minds are really messed up. Why should I accept your apology? Guchen was actually a little angry to see me like this and said unhappily, "Lin Shuang, don't be difficult. If you don't give your property to an in the future, who else do you want to give it to? You're not having children. Who else would marry you? Besides, even if you adopt someone else, wouldn't the family fortune go to an outsider? So who it goes to doesn't matter. And will still call you mother. You raised her for so long in your past life. Could you bear to see her suffer outside? So don't push it too far. We've all apologized to you. As long as we're like before, I'll definitely treat you well this time." Gusiyu also looked up and glared at me. "That's right. If you keep this up, when I inherit the estate, I'll send you to a nursing home. You have no children, so you can only rely on me. Everything in the Lin family will be mine from now on. If you treat me well now, I will remember your kindness." He's right. I really don't plan to have children, nor do I plan to adopt any, but I said to the two ungrateful people in front of me with a smile, "Guchen, I really don't plan to have children, nor do I plan to adopt any more." Guchen's eyes lit up when he heard me say this, and the corners of his mouth turned up. I continued to add, "But ever since I was reborn, I asked my parents for one. My younger siblings are already in kindergarten now. My family's fortune doesn't need you to inherit it. You really are wishful thinking, dreaming too big." Guchen stood up abruptly upon hearing my words. He panicked. "How is that possible? How could you do this? If you have younger siblings, what about what about me?" Gusiyu also started to get scared, a look of panic appearing on her face. "Mom, how could you give away my money? I was wrong. I won't dare to do it again. Please, please don't leave me." "Okay, you're lying to me, aren't you?" To shatter their illusions, I initiated a video call. Sister, when are you coming back? I miss you so much." "Yes, I miss you too. I miss you a lot." "No, I miss you the most." "Sister," the voices of my younger brother and sister echoed, plunging Chen and Chen Siyu into utter despair, their faces turning deathly pale. I called security to have the two of them thrown out. They tried to struggle, but were forcibly taken away. I informed the debt collectors of their location, telling them to give these two a proper care. From then on, the two of them could only live a life of evading debts. Later, Chin Chin couldn't take it and committed suicide. I sent someone to dump his ashes into a cesspit. Chin Siyu went mad, wandering the streets all day, calling every person she met mom. I worked for a while longer, then stepped down to make way for the capable. When my younger brother and sister grew up, start enjoying your own life. End of text. That's all for the first story. Don't go away. The next story is even more exciting. After being reborn, the first thing I did was tear up the marriage report that my fiancé Lu Yanxi was about to submit. In my previous life, I desperately clung to marrying Lu Yanxi, and only upon my death did I learn that he had been secretly involved with Jiang Shualan behind my back for 4 years, 10 years. Knowing the truth in this life, I won't be that foolish anymore. I will take the initiative to step aside and let Lu Yanxi be with the woman he has always longed for, Jiang Shualan. I don't object to Lu Yanxi taking care of Jiang Shualan, nor do I object to him giving half his salary to Jiang Shualan for her use. I just never imagined Jiang Shualan's appetite would be bigger than I thought. She actually had her eyes on my university admission letter. Dream on. I firmly rejected Jiang Shualan's unreasonable demand the day after I refused Jiang Shualan's unreasonable demand and had a falling out with Lu Yanxi. Lu Yanxi and Jiang Shualan were caught together in the same bed in my previous life. Unaware that Lu Yanxi was dissatisfied with me as his fiancé, I happily married him, relying on our childhood engagement. Lu Yanxi is very busy with work, and both of his parents at home are in poor health to allow Lu Yanxi to focus on his work without worry. I gave up my chance to attend university and devoted my entire life to taking care of his parents and raising the children. Over 40 years of marriage, Lu Yanxi and I have spent more time apart than together. The days we truly shared likely did not exceed 2 years. As a woman, I had to care for my sick in-laws above and look after young children below. One can imagine how difficult life was. I always hoped that Lu Yanxi would take the initiative to transfer back to the city where I lived to lend me a hand, but until his death, Lu Yanxi never transferred back. I always believed Lu Yanxi had no choice in the matter, and only learned the truth just before I died. Lu Yanxi is not helpless. He simply doesn't like me and doesn't want to see me, his wife. He wants to stay far away from me so that he can take care of his beloved Jiang Shualan. Behind my back, he arranged a job for Jiang Shualan. He and Jiang Shualan were intimate, and he took a post in the south because of her. He went north for Jiang Shualan as well. His heart has always been with Jiang Shualan. They are a loving couple, devoted and without doubt, and it wasn't until just before my death that I realized I had been treated like a fool my whole life, becoming a complete joke. I took out my university admission letter from the bottom of the box, held it tightly against my chest, and tears of joy streamed uncontrollably down my face. It's wonderful. Everything is still in time in my past life, because I was wholeheartedly in love with Lu Yanxi. I was determined to marry him and become his wife. For the sake of so-called love, I gave up going to university and tirelessly stayed at home to care for Lu Yanxi and his sick parents. In this life, such foolish things will not happen again. I am going to university. I want to carve out a career for myself. As for Lu Yanxi, doesn't he like Jiang Shualan? In this life, I will voluntarily withdraw from the entanglement with Lu Yanxi, allowing him and Jiang Shualan, that star-crossed couple, to be together. I composed myself and walked out of the room, seeing Lu Yanxi sitting on a chair in the living room. On the table in front of him lay the marriage report Lu Yanxi had filled out but had not yet submitted. Lu Yanxi looked at the marriage report with a cold expression, his brow furrowed. He didn't even turn his head when he saw me walk out. In my previous life, Lu Yanxi was always very cold towards me. I didn't realize that was his way of showing he didn't like me. I thought he was just naturally aloof. It wasn't until right before my death, when I saw a photo of him and Jiang Shualan where Lu Yanxi was beaming with a smile, that I understood he wasn't incapable of smiling. He just didn't like smiling for me. Lu Yanxi frowned as he looked at the marriage report in front of him, clearly very reluctant to submit it. The wedding date was set by both sets of parents. Although Lu Yanxi didn't like me, he was a filial son and would not disobey his parents' words. As for me, marrying Lu Yanxi was considered marrying above my station. My parents urgently needed me to marry a military officer with a rank to elevate our family's status. This was certainly not the time to bring up breaking up. To prevent Lu Yanxi from submitting the marriage report like he did in my previous life, I needed to confirm my relationship with him. I took the initiative to walk over to him, picked up the marriage report, and said, "Let me go submit the report," without waiting for his reply. I picked up the marriage report and left on my own. I found a secluded spot, tore the marriage report into pieces, and threw them into a nearby sewage ditch. Watching the shredded paper get washed away by the filthy water without leaving a trace, I let out a sigh of relief. I didn't have to worry about the marriage issue for now. But next, I needed to prepare for school. My parents had always hoped I would marry Lu Yanxi as soon as possible. In my past life, when they found out I got into university, they tried their best to persuade me to let I don't want to go to school. They also kept instilling in me the benefits of marrying Lu Yanxi. In my previous life, with my heart already loving Lu Yanxi, I was quickly persuaded by them. I toiled willingly for Lu Yanxi, wasting my entire life for him, and didn't receive even a shred of kindness until my death in this life. I will not listen to my parents' opinions and will never repeat the same mistakes. I went to inquire about the materials needed for university admission and the living expenses required, among other questions. Before returning to Lu Yanxi's home, walking outside the courtyard, I saw the car parked inside, and I saw the young woman getting out of the car carrying large and small bags, along with Lu Yanxi. Just like in the previous life, Jiang Xuelan was rightfully brought to Lu Yanxi's side to be taken care of. Jiang Xuelan was brought over by Lu Yanxi, who used the reason that Jiang Xuelan's brother lost his life saving him. I also always believed that Lu Yanxi owed Jiang Xuelan a life, so I always thought it was natural for Lu Yanxi to do anything for Jiang Xuelan. If Jiang Xuelan hadn't proactively exposed their relationship later, I would have been kept in the dark until my death. I indifferently watched Lu Yanxi help Jiang Xuelan move her luggage to the room prepared for her, as if sensing my gaze. Lu Yanxi stopped and turned his head. "You're back," I hummed. Like in the previous life, he introduced Jiang Xuelan to me. "This is Jiang Xuelan, my comrade's sister. Before she went to college, she lived here." Before college, my heart suddenly skipped a beat. I suddenly remembered something. The university Jiang Xuelan attended seems to be the same university, University A, that I received my admission letter from. In my previous life, I never thought much about the relationship between Jiang Xuelan and Lu Yanxi. Jiang Xuelan was brought to the compound by Lu Yanxi to live with us, and after we got married, she went to University A to study. However, when I inquired about university admissions today, I carefully examined the list of admitted students for University A. There were only 3 spots, and one of them was mine. The other 2 spots were taken by 2 male students I didn't recognize. Jiang Xuelan was not on the admission list for University A. If that's the case, how did she qualify to attend university? It had only been a few years since the college entrance examination was reinstated, and university spots could be transferred. A thought suddenly occurred to me. Could it be that because I married her, she gave up her university spot, and Jiang Xuelan had the opportunity to attend university? If that's the case, did Lu Yanxi do something in this regard? Could it be that he married me so that his beloved could go to university, and let me work tirelessly to guard the rear for him, while his beloved Jiang Xuelan originally didn't have the qualifications to go to university, but because of my withdrawal, she got the opportunity? I dare not think that Lu Yanxi is so despicable and shameless. Just thinking of Jiang Xuelan's arrogant words in front of my sickbed before I died in my previous life. "You have legitimately occupied Yanxi for over 40 years, and now it's time for him and me to enjoy our old age." Jiang Xuelan's appearance of not being ashamed but proud of being a mistress for so many years makes me have to think this way. Seeing Jiang Xuelan standing so close to Lu Yanxi without any reservation, I sneered inwardly. I said lightly, "You guys are busy, I'll go make dinner." I hadn't walked more than a few steps when Jiang Xuelan's aggrieved, coquettish voice came from behind me. "Brother Yanxi, did I disturb you and sister by coming over suddenly? I feel like sister doesn't really welcome me." Her tea-like voice made me twitch the corner of my mouth, and my disgust reached its peak. I didn't turn around, and Lu Yanxi's voice clearly reached my ears. "Don't worry, I promised your brother I would take care of you, and I won't go back on my word. As long as I'm here, no one can wrong you." It's being maintained so quickly. My past self was truly a dead person. Lu Yanxi and Jiang Xuelan returned 2 hours later. I had already prepared the meal, and Jiang Xuelan came to the kitchen to help serve the dishes. Pretending to be helpful, she even took the initiative to serve rice, but only served 2 bowls, one for herself and one for Lu Yanxi. Her intentions were as obvious as Zhao Gao's plot, but I pretended not to notice her little scheme and served myself rice without a care. I sat down and began to feast. Lu Yanxi and Jiang Xuelan also sat down, but they were both stunned when they saw the dishes on the table. There were 4 dishes on the table: spicy tofu, spicy potatoes, and spicy ribs. The only soup was 4-seasoned soup, bean soup, but with bright red chilies floating on top. Lu Yanxi and Jiang Xuelan both prefer light meals. Seeing that several dishes were spicy, fragrant, and delicious, Lu Yanxi looked at me. I didn't look at him and just kept eating my own food. In my previous life, to take care of Lu Yanxi, I always cooked light meals according to his preferences. After being reborn, I didn't want to wrong myself anymore. seeing me happily eating the spicy, fragrant, and delicious food without paying attention to him and Jian Shualan. Lu Yanxi's expression was very displeased. Jian Shualan also looked at Lu Yanxi with wronged, red eyes, appearing pitiful. Later, Lu Yanxi couldn't stand it anymore and stood up. Shualan can't eat spicy food, so don't add chili peppers next time you cook. I'll take her out to eat today. I ate my meal indifferently, without sparing a glance at Lu Yanxi and Jian Shualan. With the two people I disliked gone, I continued to feast, eating until I was very full. After eating, I cleaned up the dishes and went out for a walk to aid digestion. Lu Yanxi and Jian Shualan hadn't returned, so I went back to my room, closed the door, and opened my suitcase. I took out the ration coupons and money I had prepared for the wedding and started to meticulously calculate the accounts. This was the little nest egg Lu Yanxi and I had prepared for our wedding. Part of it was the dowry my parents had given us through their frugality, and part of it was from Lu, the betrothal gifts from the Yanxi family. I'm going to college in the future, and I'll need money for tuition, food, and living expenses. I don't plan on giving any of this money to Lu Yanxi in my previous life. All this money was handed over to Jian Shualan for her studies after I married Lu Yanxi. In this life, I won't be so foolish. I'll keep the money and grain coupons for myself and won't let anyone else benefit from them. I put away the money, grain coupons, and the admission letter, and then took out all the items I had prepared for the wedding from the chest. The bright red bedsheets, duvet covers, and pillowcases will have no use for me now. Since I'm not getting married, these items must be given away. Aunt Wu from the compound has always been very kind to me. Her daughter is also getting married this month, so I packed everything up and gave it to Aunt Wu. Aunt Wu was surprised to see me bringing gifts and asked me a few questions, which I vaguely brushed off with an excuse. When I returned home, Lu Yanxi hadn't come back yet. After washing up, I went back to my room and marked a check on the hanging calendar with a red pen. That's great. In 20 days, I'll be leaving here to go to school. I slept soundly that night. I didn't know when Lu Yanxi returned. When I woke up in the morning, I made myself a bowl of noodles. Lu Yanxi only opened the bedroom door while I was eating. Seeing me sitting there eating noodles without even looking at him, a look of surprise flashed across his face. It's no wonder Lu Yanxi looked like that. I was head over heels in love with him before. Everything was prepared perfectly for him. He doesn't like spicy food, so I never cook spicy meals. His stomach is not good, so I get up early every morning to cook millet porridge for him to nourish his stomach. I would see him off to the entrance of the compound when he went to work, and I would wait at the entrance early in the evening to welcome him home from work. In front of me, he was like a high and mighty emperor, and I was the servant attending to him. Now that this servant has suddenly changed and no longer puts the emperor first, it's no wonder Lu Yanxi is unaccustomed to it. Seeing that I was completely ignoring him, Lu Yanxi had no choice but to walk over himself. Shualan is not familiar with this place. I took her out to dinner last night and familiarized her with the surroundings before we returned. Is Lu Yanxi explaining this to me? This is truly a once-in-a-blue-moon event. I mumbled through my noodles. It's only right. You taking care of her is your duty. You don't need to tell me anymore. Lu Yanxi stared for a moment, seemingly incredulous at my reaction. After all, I used to love him so much. Lu Yanxi is handsome, and many people outside admire him. I used to keep a very close eye on Lu Yanxi, and I would be unhappy if any girl spoke more than a few words to him. Now that I'm not bothering with him and Jian Shualan's affairs, Lu Yanxi has noticed something is wrong. He stared at me intently and continued, Shualan's brother died because of me. From now on, Shualan will be my sister, and I will always look after her. From now on, half of my salary and grain coupons will go to Shualan. After marrying Lu Yanxi in my previous life, I stayed home to take care of his sick parents. Lu Yanxi's monthly salary of 40 yuan only gave me 10 yuan. I worked tirelessly from dawn till dusk, and when I had free time, I would do other jobs to supplement our household income. Yet, he gave half of his salary to Jian Shualan. How truly devoted he is. He neglects his own parents, his wife, and children, with his heart only set on his beloved Jian Shualan. I was so furious my teeth ached, and the truth slapped him across his handsome face. I controlled myself. Okay, you take care of it. I have no objections, let alone giving Jian Shualan half of my work and grain rations. Even if Lu Yanxi gave all his salary to Jian Shualan, what does it have to do with me? In any case, I won't marry him, let alone sacrifice myself to take care of his parents. I want to see how he plans to buy medicine and food for his sick parents after giving all his wealth to Jian Shualan. I finished my noodles in a flash, cleaned up, and returned to my room. Yesterday, I only sent out the wedding bedding, duvet covers, and pillowcases. Today, I'm going to clear out everything in my room. The books for the college entrance examination are no longer useful, so I plan to sell them all. Everything I prepared for Lu Yanxi also needs to be given away or thrown away. I closed the door and tidied up quietly in my room. I don't know when Lu Yanxi left. I packed up the books and sold them as scrap, and also took out the several pairs of 1,000-layer sole shoes I had prepared for Lu Yanxi to sell. Everything that couldn't be sold was packed up and thrown into the trash heap. Then I tore up and threw away all the big red double happiness characters I had prepared. After finishing all this, I picked up a pen and marked another check on the calendar. There are 19 days left until I start school, and I need to prepare for it. I went to the supply and marketing cooperative, and unexpectedly saw Lu Yanxi and Jiang Shualan. The two of them were picking out items as if they were a loving couple. Lu Yanxi was very attentive, even buying autumn shirts and pants for Jiang Shualan. Jiang Shualan smiled coyly. Brother Yanxi, that's enough, you don't need to buy any more, I inquired, and the place where you study is cold, so it's better to buy a couple more sets just in case. The two of them spoke intimately, as if no one else were around. Later, Jiang Shualan saw me first, and said haughtily, Sister Xingnan, are you here to buy things too? Hearing Jiang Shualan's voice, Lu Yanxi finally saw me. I looked at him with a half-smile, making him a little uncomfortable. Shualan is about to go to college. I'm accompanying her to buy some things. As he spoke, his gaze fell on the ink, brush, paper, and inkstone in my hand. I've already bought them for Shualan, so you don't need to buy them again. Who gave him the courage to think I would do these things for Jiang Shualan? I ignored Lu Yanxi, took the brush, ink, paper, and inkstone I bought, and turned to leave. Lu Yanxi followed and called me twice, but I didn't look back and quickened my pace. Jiang Shualan's timid voice came from behind. Brother Yanxi, Sister Xingnan really doesn't seem to like me. I bought a few more things before returning home. When I opened the door, I found that Lu Yanxi had already prepared dinner. This is really a case of the sun rising in the west. Seeing me return, Lu Yanxi called me to eat dinner. I glanced at the light dishes on the table and shook my head. I ate out. It's over. Lu Yanxi's expression froze slightly. I ignored him and went back to my room. A few minutes later, Lu Yanxi knocked on the door. I opened it and asked, What is it? Let's talk. Talk about what? I asked coldly. Xingnan, are you unhappy because of Shualan? I'm only looking after her because of her brother. That's your business. It has nothing to do with me. You don't need to tell me over and over again. Lu Yanxi saw my impatience and softened his tone. Xingnan, we are getting married soon. We are one family. My business is your business. They still see me as the sucker from my past life. I was very impatient and extremely annoyed to see Lu Yanxi's fake demeanor. Lu Yanxi, have you ever thought about our relationship? I think we should seriously consider our marriage. I originally wanted to stop talking about marrying Lu Yanxi, but before I could finish, there was a knock on the door. Jiang Shualan's crying voice rang out. Brother Yanxi, I sprained my ankle. It hurts so much. Lu Yanxi helped the injured Jiang Shualan leave, and they never returned. I naturally wouldn't wait for him either. After washing up, I locked the door and went to bed. I had a good night's sleep, and the first thing I did upon waking up was to mark the calendar. Then, feeling refreshed, I washed up. After coming out, I found that Lu Yanxi had returned and bought steamed buns, soy milk, and fried dough sticks. Seeing the rare smile on my face, he said, You're up. I hummed in response, and he handed me breakfast, saying, This is for you. I took it and started eating in silence. He sat down next to me. Last night, Shualan sprained her ankle and then developed a high fever. I was worried, so I stayed with her at the hospital all night. It's what you should do, I replied coldly. I've always greeted him with a smile, never so indifferent. Lu Yanxi seemed a bit unbearable. Xingnan, are you angry with me? No, really not, really not. What's there to be angry about? Anyway, in a little over 10 days, we'll go our separate ways. Seeing that I admitted I wasn't angry, the smile on Lu Yanxi's face deepened. Yesterday I saw you bought brushes, ink, paper, and inkstones. Were they for Shualan? How about you go with me to give them to Shualan later? I looked up at him and said word for word, Lu Yanxi, it's enough that Jiang Shualan has your care. She doesn't need one more from me. I bought things are for my own use, and have nothing to do with others. He looked a bit displeased after being rebuffed. I didn't care how he felt and stood up, saying, I have something to attend to and need to go out for a bit. For a while I went to the train station to inquire about the train tickets. It was very cold at University A, so I bought myself 2 more sets of autumn clothes and pants, as well as toiletries. Then I returned home. Lu Yanxi was home, which was unusual. Seeing me come in with bags, he even proactively reached out to take them. I avoided his hand and carried them back to my room myself. He followed me in. It seems like your room is missing a lot of things. I threw away anything I wouldn't use. Seeing my cold attitude, he was silent for a moment. We're getting married in a few days. I'll go shopping with you tomorrow. This is truly a case of the sun rising in the west. I directly refused. No need. Seeing that I wasn't enthusiastic about him at all, and was extremely indifferent, Lu Yanxi rubbed his hands, and after a while, he squeezed out another sentence from his mouth. There's one more thing I need to discuss with you, about your university studies. I stopped tidying up and looked at him quietly. Lu Yanxi hesitated before saying, here's what I think. After we get married, you probably won't have time to go to university. Since you don't have time to go, why not proactively give up your university spot to someone who needs it? My mind went blank for a moment after hearing Lu Yanxi's words. Before, I only suspected that Jiang Xuelan's university admission was due to my withdrawal. Now, hearing Lu Yanxi say this, I am almost certain about this matter. Those two scoundrels, how dare they? Anger made me stand up abruptly. I glared at Lu Yanxi with hostility and asked word by word, gave it to whom? Lu Yanxi was startled by my attitude. You, what's wrong with you? Am I not discussing this with you? Discussing? I couldn't help but laugh. In my previous life, I poured my heart and soul into him, treating him like a god, so Lu Yanxi decided this matter without saying a word to me. I have no affection left for him in this life. He only brought this up because he had no other choice. Lu Yanxi, don't you think you're being too despicable and shameless? I told Lu Yanxi, word by word, I won't give up my university spot. If anyone wants to go to college, they should earn it on their own merits. If you want to take a shortcut, there's no way. Lu Yanxi didn't expect such a strong reaction from me, and he even stuttered a bit. I was just thinking that since we're getting married, you won't have time to go to university, then let's not get married. I roared this at Lu Yanxi viciously. His face turned extremely dark, and he glared at me. Don't push it. You were the one who wanted to get married, and now you're the one who doesn't. What do you take me for? What do you take marriage for? I let out a sarcastic laugh. Stop pretending. If you had any shame, would you have treated me like that in my past life? It's not time to fall out with Lu Yanxi yet. I suppressed my anger, quickly packed my bag, and said, I have something to attend to and need to go home for a few days. Lu Yanxi followed me for a few steps and asked, why do you suddenly want to go home? I miss my parents, I replied, and then left without paying attention to his hurried steps downstairs. I plan to stay home for a while until school starts. My parents were very happy to see me back. Especially my mom. She held me and asked me endless questions about my relationship with Lu Yanxi. I just brushed them off with a laugh, thinking that I needed to prepare my mom in advance about not marrying Lu Yanxi. I casually brought up Jiang Xuelan's matter on the 7th day. My mom immediately became alert. A single woman for him to take care of. That's not a good thing. You should go back quickly and keep a close eye on him. Yanxi is a hot commodity. What will you do if someone snatches him away? Worst case scenario, we break up and I find someone else. Pa, what are you saying? Where can you find someone as good looking and with such a good job as Yanxi? My mom treated Lu Yanxi like a hot commodity and didn't want me staying at home, forcing me to go back. Just like that, I was kicked out by my mom, with nowhere to go. I had no choice but to return to Lu Yanxi's place. I pushed open the door and heard a noise coming from my room. I was startled. Was there a thief in broad daylight? I rushed to my room door in 3 steps and gasped when I saw the scene inside. My room was a mess, with everything turned upside down. Jiang Xuelan didn't notice my arrival and continued to rummage through the drawers and boxes in my room, even flipping over the quilt. She searched, muttering to herself, how could there not be? Where did I put it? I shouted. What are you doing? Who told you to touch my things? Jiang Xuelan was startled by my voice, but after turning to see me, she quickly returned to normal. Does that even need asking? Of course, brother Yanxi asked me to come. Lu Yanxi actually brought Jiang Xuelan to live at my home while I was away. These two shameless people really don't care about appearances, do they? My eyes blazed with anger. Jiang Xuelan, do you have any shame left? Get out of my room immediately. Jiang Xuelan looked like a dead pig unafraid of boiling water. Are you angry? Let me tell you the truth. While you were away, I have been living with brother Yanxi. He's been so good to me, making me breakfast every day, cooking dinner at night, and taking walks with me. Let me tell you, brother Yanxi really knows how to care for people. I suppressed the anger in my heart and sneered. So you like Lu Yanxi? You want to marry him? Jiang Xuelan's expression froze for a moment when I exposed her so bluntly. I looked at her coldly. Don't you know he's getting married? You're living with a man who's about to get married without any shame. Aren't you afraid of being gossiped about? What do I have to be afraid of? Brother Yanxi and I are a perfect match, talented and beautiful. As for you, why don't you look in the mirror and see? if you're worthy of Brother Yen Ci, what engagement? It's all futile dregs. I've heard from Brother Yen Ci that if it weren't for your parents forcing him, and he's a filial person, he wouldn't have married you at all. I believe this is Lu Yanxi's true feeling, but it doesn't mean Jiang Shualan can use it to blame me. You've said so much, isn't it just because you envy, jealousy, and hate that I'm marrying Lu Yanxi? You say I'm not good enough for Lu Yanxi, and I admit that I'm not. Indeed, I'm not good enough for him. But are you so sure that you are a good match for Lu Yanxi? Look in the mirror and see yourself. You, like me, have no job and no degree right now. Neither of us is nobler than the other. That's just what you think. I'm about to go to college. After I graduate, I'll be in the same position as Brother Yanxi, and you'll be nothing. I looked at her coldly. You're about to go to college. What college are you going to? Where is your university admission letter? How about you show it to me? That's just what you think. I'm about to go to college. After I graduate, I'll be in the same position as Brother Yanxi, and you'll be nothing. I looked at her coldly. You're about to go to college. What college are you going to? Where is your university admission letter? How about you show it to me? I looked at her coldly. You're about to go to college. What college are you going to? Where is your university admission letter? How about you show it to me? Jiang Shualan was stumped by my words and stammered. Why should I show you? Anyway, I'm different from you. I will definitely go to college in the future, believe it or not. Jiang Shualan's expression was flustered, although she pretended to be calm. Her darting eyes betrayed her. She must have had some unspeakable purpose. What was in my room that was worth her taking such a risk? Looking at my messy room and then at Jiang Shualan's ugly face, I felt disgusted. How could there be such an utterly shameless person? I looked at Jiang Shualan coldly. Get out of here right now. What are you going to do if I don't leave? Jiang Shualan challenged me. It was Brother Yanxi who asked me to move in. Brother Yanxi said he would take care of me himself. He also said he was tired of you and disgusted by you. The words of the young Jiang Shualan and the words of the 50-year-old Jiang Shualan overlapped. Shameless people never change their shamelessness, whether in this life or the last. I sneered. Lu Yanxi really said that to you? You two are truly soulmates, aren't you? Of course, Brother Yanxi doesn't like you. He only agreed to marry you under duress. If you have any shame, you should withdraw voluntarily, and don't make things difficult for Brother Yanxi. Where do you get the nerve to tell me to withdraw? And with what right do you tell me to withdraw? Speaking of shamelessness, you're second to none. No one said I was first, right? I'm at least Lu Yanxi's legitimate fiancé. What are you? I looked at Jiang Shualan and said word by word, Jiang Shualan, I know exactly what you're thinking. You just want to take advantage of my absence to mess around with Lu Yanxi, don't you? Your face clearly shows that you want to fool around with Lu Yanxi. Are you afraid people can't see it? I'm telling you, I will never let a shameless person like you succeed. Jiang Shualan's face turned red with anger when I pointed out her sordidness so directly. She lunged at me furiously, intending to hit me. How could I let her hit me? I dodged to the side, and she fell to the ground with a thud. Before I could even appreciate her pathetic fall, I heard Jiang Shualan's crying, "Woo-woo, you're bullying me. It hurts so much." Her sudden change of expression stunned me. Before I could react, I saw Lu Yanxi with a dark expression. Jiang Shualan complained to me in front of my face, "Sister, as soon as you came back, you cursed me without reason, saying I'm promiscuous and shameless for seducing you." I retorted to her, and she hit me. I'm covered in bruises. Boo-hoo. Lu Yanxi believed Jiang Shualan's words. The veins on his forehead bulged as he roared at me. Li Xingnan, how could you be so excessive? Jiang Shualan feigned injury, and Lu Yanxi, heartbroken, hugged her and left. The room fell silent. I looked at the mess on the floor with mixed feelings. I always thought that it was because Jiang Shualan got the university spot after Lu Yanxi and I got married that she was able to attend university. But if that's the case, why was Jiang Shualan rummaging through my room, turning everything upside down? There was nothing else in my room besides my admission letter and food coupons. Jiang Shualan searching like this definitely wasn't for stealing money or food coupons. After all, half of Lu Yanxi's salary was given to her to use, so Jiang Shualan wouldn't stoop to stealing money. So, she wasn't looking for my admission letter, was she? What would she want with my admission letter? I suddenly thought of a question I had never considered before. Could it be that Jiang Shualan didn't get into university because I withdrew, creating an extra spot, but rather she used my identity to get into university? No wonder the admission letter I put in my box in my previous life disappeared without a trace later on. Since I gave up the idea of going to college in my previous life, I didn't think much of not finding my admission letter. Looking back now, Could Jiang Shualan have taken my admission letter and gone to college under my name? Going to college at this time in my previous life wasn't as strict as it is now. If Jiang Shualan impersonated me, it wouldn't be impossible. I also remembered that wherever Jiang Shualan went to work, Lu Yanxi would follow. Could it be that in my previous life they lived together as a couple all along? I was confined to my home my entire life, so I never knew the truth until I died. I won't allow such a thing to happen in this life. Lu Yanxi returned very late and came to knock on my door as soon as he got back. Xingnan, let's talk. I opened the door. Talk about what? Talk about Jiang Shualan. I didn't hit her. She was rummaging through my things, and I had just asked her to leave, and she attacked me. Then she fell down because she couldn't stop herself. I have a mouth of my own and don't want to be a silent fool framed by Jiang Shualan and questioned by Lu Yanxi. Anyway, I said what needed to be said first. It's up to Lu Yanxi whether he believes it or not. To my surprise, Lu Yanxi didn't seem to intend to defend Jiang Shualan. Jiang Shualan and I have nothing. Lu Yanxi sighed and reached out to hold my hand. I took a few steps back to avoid his hand. His face showed a shocked expression. After all, I had been shamelessly pestering him before. And I was happy even if he didn't reach out to shake his hand. How could I possibly refuse when he offered? My clear stance silenced Lu Yanxi, his expression showing a hint of hurt. Xingnan, there's nothing between Jiang Shualan and me. I only see her as a sister, so don't overthink it. Is that so? I sneered at Lu Yanxi. If I hadn't gone through those things in my past life, I think I would have believed him, but now, I don't believe a single word he says. Xingnan, whether you believe me or not, I have to tell you that you're the only one I want to marry. My feelings for Jiang Shualan are purely about fulfilling my responsibility to take care of her. She won't be here for long. She'll be going to university soon. So, for my sake, has she been getting along peacefully for a while? The doubts in my heart have not been resolved. Did Jiang Shualan take my spot to go to university, or did she directly use my admission letter as a substitute? Was it a case of replacing the plum with the peach? Does Lu Yanxi know about this? Could he have personally orchestrated all of this? After all, even if Jiang Shualan got my admission letter and wanted to impersonate me, she would still need various proofs, right? Jiang Shualan definitely wouldn't have the ability to obtain those proofs, but it would be different if Lu Yanxi helped. Thinking of this, I asked indifferently, what university did Jiang Shualan attend? Shualan said it was a university. As expected, we're in the same school. I added, did you see her admission letter? Not exactly, but Shualan's grades are excellent, so it's normal for her to get into a university. Lu Yanxi's expression was normal, showing no signs of guilt from lying, but it's not necessarily true. After all, he looked the same when he deceived me so much in my previous life. I must figure out the issue of Jiang Shualan attending university. To find out if Jiang Shualan got into university, I can just ask around. Many people from Jiang Shualan's hometown are here, so I'll ask someone to find out clearly tomorrow. The next morning, I was awakened by a knock on the door in my sleep. I opened the door, and Lu Yanxi was standing there. Breakfast is ready, let's eat. I nodded and went to wash up with a cold attitude. Lu Yanxi followed me, making small talk and asking, what does the check mark on your calendar mean? It doesn't mean anything. Seeing my cold attitude, Lu Yanxi kept looking at me. I pretended not to see him and moved past him, sitting down to eat breakfast on my own. Lu Yanxi sat down too, watching me as he ate breakfast. Judging by his expression, he clearly had something to say to me, but I really had nothing to say to him. After a quick breakfast, I got up and said, I have something to do and need to go out for a bit. I'll go with you. Lu Yanxi, uncharacteristically, wanted to follow, but I didn't give him the chance. Why don't you go check on Jiang Shualan instead? See if she's had breakfast and if she needs your care. After all, you promised her brother that you would take good care of her. If anything happens to her, you won't be able to explain yourself. With that, I didn't care about Lu Yanxi's expression and quickly left. I went to find people from Jiang Shualan's hometown in the army to inquire about her family's situation. Jiang Shualan's brother was a martyr, and quite a few people knew about it, so I actually managed to find out. The person who told me the news was a military family member, who was very close to Aunt Wu. I know the Jiang family. Their son is an excellent person, everyone praises him highly, but Jiang Shualan and her mother are too much, terrible. The military family member told me that Jiang's mother and Jiang Shualan had very poor character. Jiang Shualan was already hanging out before graduating from junior high school. With that kind of person, how could she possibly get into college? Isn't that a joke? Are you telling the truth? I pressed. Is there any reason to lie? Jiang Shualan is in the same class as my youngest son. Her grades are terrible, and she dropped out of junior high school before finishing. Besides, During the college entrance examination, she fell and injured her leg while riding a bike and was recuperating at home. Where would she have had the time to take the exam? This isn't something that happens secretly. I'm the only one who knows, and several of our accompanying family members know too. Therefore, Jiang Shuilan, who did not even graduate from junior high school, could absolutely not have taken the college entrance examination. Since she didn't take the college entrance examination, how could she have the qualification to attend university? I already had the answer in my heart. Feeling unhappy, I returned home and found both Lu Yanxi and Jiang Shuilan at home. Jiang Shuilan's eyes were red, as if she had been crying. I walked in silently, directly moving past the two of them and returning to my room. A few minutes later, Lu Yanxi knocked on the door. I opened the door, looked at him, and asked, "Did you submit the marriage report?" I didn't expect him to ask about this, and subconsciously replied, "Yes, I did." Lu Yanxi looked at me. "It's been so long since it was submitted, how could there be no news? It should have been approved by now, right?" My heart skipped a beat, and I immediately interjected, "I'll go ask." Lu Yanxi didn't agree. "Let's go ask together, and by the way, we can buy some things for the wedding." I couldn't find a reason to refuse. If we really went to ask, I would be exposed. I needed to find a way to fob him off. As I was thinking, Lu Yanxi added, "I just talked to Shuilan, and we plan to send her home in a few days." I looked up at Lu Yanxi, and asked in surprise, "Why?" "I've thought about it carefully, and I don't blame you for being angry and misunderstanding. It is indeed inappropriate for me to take care of Shuilan, an unmarried girl." Lu Yanxi said this, and I thought he knew he was wrong and had woken up, but what he said next plunged me into an ice cellar. "Xingnan, I have something to tell you. Shuilan wants to go to college, but she didn't get in and wants to use your spot." I looked at Lu Yanxi without saying a word. Lu Yanxi should have thought about his wording long ago. "I thought that since we are getting married soon, you don't need to go to college, and I owe Shuilan's brother a favor. It might as well be like this, to repay it, and also to avoid your misunderstanding." I controlled the urge to slap Lu Yanxi. "How can that be? I heard her grades were so bad she wouldn't even qualify for university." Lu Yanxi was silent for a moment. "Shuilan means she wants to use your name to go to university." Although I had already guessed their intentions, I still couldn't believe it when I heard Lu Yanxi say it with my own ears. I asked, word by word, "Use my name to go to university? Impersonation, that's illegal. Don't you know?" Lu Yanxi was stumped by my question. He was silent for a while before saying, "If you don't say anything, I don't say anything, and Shuilan doesn't say anything, then probably no one will know. What if someone finds out? There's no secret that can be kept forever. Besides, you're a soldier. How will people view you if you resort to such deception? Do you still want to stay in your position?" After hearing me say this, Lu Yanxi fell silent. Compared to his own future, I believe he would consider it himself. It turns out I was overthinking. Love conquered all. Lu Yanxi must have loved Jiang Shuilan very, very much, willing to take risks for her. After a few minutes of silence, he actually started to persuade me again. "Xingnan, the three of us will take this to our graves and never speak of it. We won't have any issues." I never expected Lu Yanxi to be so unprincipled for Jiang Shuilan. I was so angry I couldn't stand it. "In any case, I don't agree with this. I absolutely won't agree. Why should I repay the favor you owe? I will not give my spot to Jiang Shuilan. No one can." My conversation with Lu Yanxi ended on a sour note. I was seething with anger, furious at the shamelessness of Lu Yanxi and Jiang Shuilan. In my previous life, they secretly did these things behind my back, and I was kept in the dark until my death. In this life, seeing that I was on guard, they took the initiative to approach me, wanting me to continue to be their workhorse. They are dreaming too big. I couldn't stand to be with Lu Yanxi for another minute, no matter what. I had to confront him. I will not marry him, and the matter of marriage is hereby dropped. It's his business how he gets entangled with Jiang Shuilan. I won't waste a single thought on them. I packed my things and prepared to leave when Jiang Shuilan arrived. As soon as she entered, she said, "Li Xingnan, Brother Yanxi asked me to get your university admission letter." I sneered at her. "Why should I give you my admission letter? Didn't Brother Yanxi tell you?" Jiang Shuilan looked down at me. "He doesn't like you, but he's being forced to marry you. If you don't hand over your admission letter, then you can forget about marrying Brother Yanxi." Who said I was going to marry Lu Yanxi? Whoever wants trash like Lu Yanxi, who has no principles, can have him. I, for one, will not have him. I looked at Jiang Shuilan and said word for word, "You can have the man, but as for my university admission letter, don't even dream about it. I won't let you scum off easy, you despicable and shameless trash." Jiang Shuilan was furious and pointed at me, ready to curse me out. But in an instant, she changed her tune. Sister Xingnan, I and Brother Yancy really have nothing going on. You can't wrongly accuse us like this. I don't care what you two have. You two hypocritical, despicable, and shameless pieces of trash deserve to be locked up together. Don't come out and harm people. After I finished speaking, I saw Lu Yancy, who was seething with anger. He gritted his teeth and said, Li Xingnan, what are you doing? Why didn't you go to submit the marriage registration report? I hadn't expected Lu Yancy to inquire about the marriage registration report. With things being this way, I had nothing more to say. Don't you know why I'm not going to submit the marriage report? You want me to marry you and give up my university for Jiang Shualan. How can you even ask? Are you some kind of prize that I should give up my university for you? I'm telling you, Lu Yancy, I will not marry you. You and Jiang Shualan can forget about getting my university admission letter. I would rather die than give it to you. I thought Lu Yancy would fly into a rage when I called him out, but he was surprisingly calm. It was Jiang Shualan who got angry. She cried pitifully, Brother Yancy, you promised to take care of me. You promised my brother you'd look after me. I looked coldly at the pair of scoundrels. Whatever you two want to do has nothing to do with me. I'm leaving now. Lu Yancy, our engagement is off. Lu Yancy frantically stopped me. Xingnan, it's not what you think. Let me explain. In front of Jiang Shualan, Lu Yancy said decisively, I am only taking care of Jiang Shualan because I promised her brother. I have no romantic feelings for her. The only person I want to marry is you. You mean, to repay her for making me hand over my admission letter so she could impersonate me? I didn't believe a single word Lu Yancy said. Lu Yancy, let's be upfront. I don't care what you do with Jiang Shualan. All I want right now is to break off our engagement. My attitude was firm, and Lu Yancy visibly panicked. He sternly told Jiang Shualan to leave, intending to placate me, but my mind was made up. I packed my things and left without looking back. I found a hotel to stay in, and Lu Yancy chased after me to the hotel wanting to talk. I didn't open the door, so Lu Yancy stood outside and spoke to me. He said he was wrong and asked me to forgive him, but no matter what he said, I remained unmoved. Having no other choice, Lu Yancy stood outside and promised he would send Jiang Shualan away. I was completely indifferent to his promises. I had already made up my mind to break off the engagement with him no matter what. Even if it caused a big scene, I was willing to pay any price. I just never expected that everything would change overnight. The next morning, I was awakened from my sleep by noise. Aunt Wu came and knocked on my door. Something terrible has happened. Xingnan, something terrible. Jiang Shualan and your fiancé were caught in the act. Lu Yancy and Jiang Shualan were caught in bed, both of them without any clothes on. This kind of incident is no small matter and quickly spread throughout the entire compound. It is said that last night, Lu Yancy somehow forced himself on Jiang Shualan. Then, a military family member from the compound knocked on the door and exposed them. After waking up, Jiang Shualan cried uncontrollably and insisted on reporting to the leadership. When I arrived, I saw Jiang Shualan with red, swollen eyes still crying over there, fitting the image of a victim perfectly. Meanwhile, Lu Yancy had a grim expression on his face, looking as if he had eaten something disgusting. Seeing me watching the commotion in the crowd, Lu Yancy opened his mouth to speak to me, but with so many people between us, he couldn't get the words out. Such a major scandal is no small matter. This is engaging in improper relations between men and women, which is grounds for expulsion. Fortunately, although Lu Yancy and I were engaged, I hadn't submitted the marriage report. As the victim, if I didn't make a fuss, it wouldn't count as improper relations. The higher-ups intervened to protect Lu Yancy. He married Jiang Shualan, and the matter was settled without it being made public. On the day I left to report for duty, Lu Yancy somehow found out and showed up at the train station. I'm sorry, Xingnan, I never intended to betray you. I had already made things clear with her and was planning to send Jiang Shualan away the next day. I even bought the train tickets. I don't know why something like this happened. He beat his chest in regret, but I felt nothing for his apology. I'm actually glad you two are together. It's you who gave me the chance. I should thank you and Jiang Shualan. Without Jiang Shualan pulling this stunt, it wouldn't have been so easy to call off the marriage with Lu Yancy. After all, my parents were very fond of Lu Yancy. They would never have been willing to give up such a good son-in-law. Because of Lu Yancy and Jiang Shualan's affair, I became the biggest winner. I didn't have to put in the effort to deal with my parents, and I even gained sympathy. Lu Yancy's face turned deathly pale. Xingnan, the only person I like is you. I truly only like you. Perhaps what you can't have is always the best. Lu Yancy kept repeating over there that the person he liked was me. He said he knew I hadn't submitted the marriage report, and he was planning to submit it himself. He genuinely Wanted to spend his life with me, but I don't want to spend a lifetime like that with him. My previous life was too bitter and exhausting. If I had to repeat that kind of life again, my rebirth would be meaningless. I would rather choose to die. I didn't entangle with Lu Yanxi any further and entered the waiting room without looking back. University life was fulfilling and busy. Following a completely different life trajectory from my previous life, I threw myself wholeheartedly into my studies. College years flew by in a flash, and upon graduation, I was assigned to a very prestigious government institution. When I returned home to visit my parents, I unexpectedly saw Lu Yanxi and Jiang Xuelan. Unlike his previous life where he soared to great heights and held high positions, Lu Yanxi had been discharged from the military and returned home to farm. It was said that after he married Jiang Xuelan, their relationship was extremely strained. Jiang Xuelan constantly stirred up trouble and made scenes, preventing Lu Yanxi from being able to work. Jiang Xuelan was deeply distrustful of Lu Yanxi. Whenever he interacted with any woman, she would worry that he was being unfaithful or having an affair. Under this constant turmoil, Lu Yanxi lost his job in his previous life. He climbed the ladder of success all the way to the top, never caring for his parents at home, nor for me, his wife, or our child. In this lifetime, because of Jiang Xuelan, he finally stayed by his parents' side. The endless farm work and Jiang Xuelan's daily commotion made Lu Yanxi look 10 years older. We met briefly at the station, and I turned and strode away without the slightest hesitation. My parents told me many things about Lu Yanxi and Jiang Xuelan. The two of them often quarreled. The Lu household basically had a major fight every 3 days and a minor squabble every 2. Jiang Xuelan was unwilling to work and unwilling to show filial respect to Lu Yanxi's parents. She despised Lu Yanxi's parents for being sick and for being dirty. I heard that whenever Jiang Xuelan argued, she would say, "It wasn't supposed to be like this. My previous life wasn't like this at all. Why did it change? How did it come to this? It's all because you're useless." She said Lu Yanxi had achieved a high-ranking official position, and that she herself worked in an office without ever having to do any manual labor. Everyone was mocking Jiang Xuelan for daydreaming, because given her and Lu Yanxi's circumstances, such good fortune probably only existed in dreams. I listened silently to my parents' words, and a suspicion arose in my heart. Could it be that Jiang Xuelan has also been reborn because of the trajectory of her previous life? She was convinced that marrying Lu Yanxi would lead to a good life, which is why she took such a risk. She tried to steal my admission letter in advance to take my place. When she couldn't find the admission letter on me, she then tried to use Lu Yanxi. She thought I was hopelessly in love with Lu Yanxi and would agree to any of his demands. She never expected me to refuse Lu Yanxi, let alone that he would want to send her away. That's why she staged this whole "the thief crying stop thief" act. On the day I was leaving, Lu Yanxi stopped me at the village entrance. "I had a dream, Xingnan. In our past life, we were husband and wife. We got married and even had a child." And then, I looked at him coldly. I wronged you, Jiang Xuelan, and I had nothing going on. She stole your admission letter, impersonated you, and she threatened me into helping her forge a certificate, and I foolishly agreed in a moment of weakness. After that, she clung to me like a haunting ghost, never letting go. Whenever I refused her demands, she would threaten to report me. Lu Yanxi clutched his own hair. I was blackmailed by her for decades, right up until you left. I don't understand why it turned out this way. I didn't wait to hear the rest. I turned and walked away. The past is like fleeting smoke. I've long since let go of what happened in my previous life. Forgiving others is also a way to free oneself. After all, people like Lu Yanxi and Jiang Xuelan aren't worth me remembering them forever. Story 2. Because I was celebrating our anniversary, I came to work an hour late the next day. I had just arrived when I saw my wedding photo edited into a black and white memorial portrait, looping on the company's official homepage. A few scarlet letters had been photoshopped onto my face. Public notice, late due to obsessive sexual behavior. This is the global official website, and once published, it will play on the building's electronic screens for 7 days. At that moment, my fiancé Qingmei stood there with the attendance sheet, putting on airs. "Sorry, ma'am, but people who hold the team back are no different from the dead. It's the rule. Even if the person you're sleeping with is the CEO, I still have the right to penalize you." I sneered. "Oh really? Then as vice president, I also have the right to fire you." As soon as the words left my mouth, Xia Chuqing's eyes instantly turned red. Lu Qinzhou, who had just arrived late, immediately stepped in front of her to protect her. "Xia Qing is just following the rules. Don't you think you're being way too aggressive?" I didn't say anything, but my gaze coldly landed on their matching couple rings and keychains. Lu Qinzhou had always adhered to the rule that office romances were forbidden when coming to the company. "You even have to take off our wedding ring to distance yourself from me, yet now you openly defend another woman." After a long moment, I took a deep breath, suppressing my anger, and said word by word, "What if I insist on being aggressive today?" With that, I strode over, grabbed Xia Chuqing's hand, lifted it high, and revealed the matching couple rings. Then, I turned my gaze coldly to Lu Qinzhou. "Explain, don't tell me you're standing here defending her today because you've been unfaithful." Even though I sounded fierce, my voice trembled almost imperceptibly as I said those words. Perhaps a part of me was still hoping he would give me a reasonable explanation. Lu Qinzhou paused, instinctively moving to take off his ring, and said hurriedly, "Anan, just listen to me. Besides the matching couple's rings and keychains, are our matching too?" Xia Chuqing snapped back to reality and looked over with a nearly calm gaze, saying flatly, "Not only that, I also know that Mr. Lu has a mole on his left chest and abdomen, and that scratch on his lower back. I accidentally left it while helping him change into a brand name outfit. These are all requirements from the client. We've been on business trips countless times. I've seen every inch of his body more than you have. If there were anything going on, it would have shown up long ago. So, darling, don't act like a bitch at work." As he finished speaking, Lu Qinzhou pinched the bridge of his nose, his voice tinged with helplessness. "See, she's just a workaholic. There's nothing in her eyes except work and publicity. That girl often keeps me working all night. If she were trying to seduce me, the sun would rise in the west." "Anan, don't be so sensitive." Hearing this, my heart sank little by little. Lu Qinzhou has severe obsessive-compulsive cleanliness. There was even a time he wanted a platonic relationship with me, only after I scrubbed my body clean again and again, until it even bled, did I slowly begin to have physical contact with him. I once prided myself on being his one and only exception, but now I realize that what I desperately longed for was something others could easily obtain. Just then, a sudden commotion broke out outside. The assistant hurried in and looked at me. "Madam, the client you've been in contact with saw the poster on the digital screen, and they're demanding to change their point of contact." No sooner had she finished speaking than I noticed a crowd had gathered outside. When they saw me, they began whispering among themselves, "Look. Who would have thought the deputy general manager acts all proper on the surface, but secretly struggles with sex addiction? I heard she even took 10 baths just to sleep with the CEO. Never expected her to be so desperate." Their eyes were filled with either mockery or contempt. They pricked my skin like countless needles, dense and sharp. The client was a foreigner. He frowned at the sight of me and enunciated each word. "I request a change of contact person. I cannot negotiate a partnership with a slut." As soon as he finished speaking, a burst of laughter erupted around me. Standing in the crowd, I felt a chill run through my entire body, and my eyes reddened against my will. Our eyes met, and Lu Qinzhou was stunned. In the past, I had always been fierce and domineering. This was the first time he had seen me with red-rimmed eyes. Finally, the man stepped in front of me and conceded, "All right, take down the poster, too." As soon as he said this, Xia Chuqing gritted her teeth, a stubborn look on her face. "Mr. Lu, you gave me the authority to manage the company. If she gets exempted from punishment now just because she's your fiancé, how am I supposed to command respect in the future? Have you ever considered my position?" Upon hearing this, Lu Qinzhou was silent for a moment, then coaxed gently, "Be good, just this once. I promise I won't let it slide next time." But the next second, Xia Chuqing suddenly stepped closer, dropped to her knees in front of me, and raised her voice sharply. "Madam, if you're being overly sensitive and insist that I take responsibility for this, then I apologize. I may not be able to match your power and influence, but I have my own principles. Just because you hold a noble status doesn't mean you can drag down the entire company's progress by indulging in sex." Xia Chuqing's voice choked as she finished speaking. Her behavior drew nearly everyone's attention, and the murmurs of criticism against me grew even louder. Seeing this, Lu Qinzhou panicked, quickly helped Xia Chuqing up, and scolded me. "Xiaoqing has already apologized. Let's call it a day. It's just being displayed on the big screen for 7 days. It doesn't really harm you." Upon hearing this, my heart felt as if it were blocked by a stone. It took me a long while to respond in a trembling voice. "Lu Qinzhou, have you forgotten how we met?" Back then, Lu Qinzhou's father had an affair and, together with his mistress, took secret, indecent photos of Lu's mother while she was asleep. They accused her of being the one who had strayed. Because of one lewd photo, everyone was convinced of her guilt, pointing fingers and calling Lu's mother shameless, and saying that Lu Qinzhou was another man's bastard. Driven to despair, Lu's mother jumped from a building. At that time, Lu Qinzhou became the subject of office gossip, the rumors and slander nearly breaking the young man's back. I was the one who stepped forward, uncovered the truth, and cleared the names of both mother and son. Therefore, Lu Chinjo had been silently guarding by my side until I was finally moved by him, so he knew it better than anyone. A single photo, a few careless words, when placed on a person's shoulders, they can truly crush them to death, yet he chose to look the other way. My heart ached so much I could barely breathe. Madam, the company is not your dating ground. We don't have the time to indulge your whims. There's a business dinner to attend soon. Xia Chuqing cut me off abruptly. With that, she took Lu Chinjo by the arm and turned to leave, but only I saw her mouth the words to me as she turned away. Worthless. Watching Lu Chinjo's retreating figure, I said nothing. Xia Chuqing was right about one thing. I really am worthless, yet even so, I still managed to reach such a high position simply because I am the youngest daughter of the Shin family, the heiress everyone dotes on, and in my dictionary, the words forgive and let it go have never existed. The next second, I posted her photo in the family group chat and explained the whole story. I want her to pay the price. 3. The first to respond was my cousin. She quickly had Xia Chuqing thoroughly investigated and sent me the dossier without delay. I never expected her to be so two-faced, posing as a top saleswoman and strong female leader. Little sis, go ahead and tear her apart. Whatever happens, your cousin has your back. Looking at the several gigabytes of material, I knew it was enough to ruin her. Then, her voice suddenly softened. What about Lu Chinjo? You like him so much? I didn't reply. Countless memories flashed through my mind. After all, it had been 5 years. Just then, I received a call from an employee at the company. Madam, the CEO is a bit drunk today, and there's an urgent task at the company. How about you? I'll go pick him up. I agreed and had the butler drive to the location the employee had sent me, planning to have a proper talk with him on the way. When I arrived at the private room, I heard someone inside teasing, President Lu really spoils Xiaoqing, just to help her close this deal with us. He gave away that plot of land in the north of the city without a second thought. Upon hearing this, I froze in place. That piece of land was bought for me by Lu Chinjo when his career was just taking off. It used to be my mother's old family home. After she passed away, the old house gradually fell into disrepair. It was Lu Chinjo who bought it, planting roses all over the place, and then confessed his love to me when the flowers were in bloom. He said he would build a beautiful and warm home here, but now, he has personally used our home as a stepping stone for another girl to climb higher. The conversation continued, and after a few rounds of drinks, someone teased, but I've heard that Mr. Lu and Miss Shin also. Which one do you prefer? Upon hearing this, Lu Chinjo, a bit drunk with his collar slightly open, swirled his glass and spoke in a frivolous tone. A decorative vase may be beautiful, but it's just pretty. It stirs no passion. When it comes to satisfying physical needs versus pursuing spiritual connection, the importance of each should be clear without me having to say more. Right. As he spoke, his gaze shifted to Xia Chuqing. Rather than being clung to, I prefer a relationship of equals. The latter naturally intertwined her fingers with his, their matching rings glinting like a thorn stabbing deep into my heart. On the way back, I numbly scrolled through the once happy moments on my phone, only to suddenly come across a nearby live stream. I opened it and saw Xia Chuqing. Help, my boss fell asleep on my lap after drinking. What should I do? Lu Chinjo, drunk, was resting his head on her lap, while the barrage of comments flooded in. A true leading lady should seize the moment and win him over now. Just a little gesture from his sister-in-law, and the CEO will take the bait. Bravely pursuing love is also a sign of a true leading lady. It's late at night. We want to see them kiss. Hurry up, urged on by the crowd. Xia Chuqing kissed him directly but unexpectedly. Lu Chinjo was awake. He took the opportunity to pull the woman closer and kissed her passionately. Watching the two on screen locked in an inseparable kiss, I gritted my teeth and called Lu Chinjo, trying to confront him, but the call was hung up the next second. Hearing the dial tone on the other end, I felt as if I had fallen into an ice cellar. I waited for Lu Chinjo the entire night, but he never came home. But in the middle of the night, I received a message from a private number. Xia Chuqing was wearing lingerie, her body covered in hickeys. Shin Ping'an, since you love sex so much, how come you can't even satisfy your own man? He's been wearing me out all night. I suggest you save yourself the humiliation. Chinjo only stays with you out of duty. He said he only likes me because the sound of you moaning disgusts him. He pretends to have OCD just to avoid touching you. A wave of nausea hit me. Without saying a word, I took a screenshot and sent it to the company's group chat with over 1,000 people. For the next morning, Lu Chinjo intentionally waited for me downstairs at the company, holding a box of pastries from my favorite bakery. Sorry, babe, I had too much to drink at the business dinner last night and ended up crashing at the office. The pastries in the bag were still steaming hot. That bakery is always hard to get. You have to wait in line for at least 3 hours, but I didn't take the bag. I just stared straight at him and asked, really? Before the words faded, Xia Chuqing suddenly came out with reddened eyes, her voice choked as she said, Madam, I know you resent me, but there's no need to humiliate me like this. Don't you know how important a girl's reputation is to her? As she spoke, a large image of herself wearing sexy lingerie appeared on the electronic screen behind her. Lu Chenzhou suddenly raised his voice and barked at the surrounding employees. Turn around, no one is allowed to look, anyone who dares to look, I'll blind them. As his words fell, everyone wisely lowered their heads. Xia Chuqing's tears streamed down her cheeks. She reached out and took out a photo authentication report, which confirmed the image was AI generated. Madam, did you think I wouldn't fight back? I was at my own home all day yesterday. To turn me into your imaginary enemy, you didn't hesitate to slander my innocence with AI. Upon hearing this, Lu Chenzhou's expression immediately turned cold, and a flicker of disgust crossed his brow. Apologize, I didn't say anything. If I claimed now that Xia Chuqing set this up herself, no one would believe me, but the scene of our kiss yesterday was still vivid in my mind. I gritted my teeth and said coldly, no way, you both know exactly what your intentions are. In the end, everyone parted on bad terms before leaving. Lu Chenzhou said to me word by word, Shen Pingyan, even as a young lady, if you bully others arbitrarily, you still have to take responsibility. He meant what he said. That afternoon, the incident where I used AI to spread rumors about a female employee trended on social media. My reputation plummeted, and everyone condemned me. Just as my phone was blowing up with calls from outraged netizens, a notification suddenly came from the surveillance camera in our wedding house. It was Xia Chuqing and Lu Chenzhou. The moment they met, they were like dry wood meeting a blazing fire, kissing passionately. Mr. Lu, after being falsely accused this time, you really need to make it up to me. Since this accusation has already been pinned on me, I might as well put it into practice. Lu Chenzhou was clearly beyond restraint. His voice was somewhat hoarse. Just this once, know your place, my wife can only be in. Hearing his words, Xia Chuqing was unimpressed. We've done it so many times, don't act so virtuous. Aren't you enjoying it too? With that, her gaze fell on my mother's memorial tablet. How about we spice things up this time? Seeing this, a bad feeling arose in my heart. The next second, Xia Chuqing placed the memorial tablet I had wiped clean under her lower back. Indecent sounds filled the air, mingled with her words. So what if you were born into a wealthy family, dead, you're still just a cushion for me. Shen Pingyan never expected that her dead mother could still help her catch a cheating husband, did she? Lu Chenzhou didn't respond, but he tacitly allowed it all. Watching my mother's memorial tablet bend and crack under pressure, I clenched my fists so hard that my nails dug deep into my flesh. After a pause, I turned on a live stream across the entire network and drove in hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of popularity votes. On top of that, my earlier slander against Xia Chuqing had already put me right in the eye of the storm. When I started the live stream, floods of netizens rushed into my room to hurl abuse. Hey, isn't this Miss Sex livestreamer still shameless enough to go live? Does she really think everyone is as desperate as she is? Exactly, she's crazy obsessed with male attention. Not everyone is after her husband. Xia Chuqing is the top saleswoman, a true leading lady boss. Can that little wife just go and die already? But facing the camera, I put on an innocent expression. Since it's my fault, I admit it. I'll go live right now to find Miss Xia and apologize in person. With that, I had the butler drive me straight to the wedding house. After a round of public attention, the buzz had reached tens of millions of views. Without any hesitation, I took out the spare key and opened the door. Chenzhou, I've come to apologize. The next second, the screen clearly captured two pale, tangled bodies on the bed. The two people on the bed were going at it passionately. Xia Chuqing's lingerie had already been more than half torn off. Seeing me, Lu Chenzhou's face showed a flash of panic, and he immediately stood up. Xia Chuqing also let out a scream and wrapped the blanket around herself. Even though I had mentally prepared myself, seeing it with my own eyes still caused a dull ache in my heart. Wave after wave. Honey, what are you doing? I trusted you so much. Why did you have to betray me? This is our wedding room, and you chose to do it here of all places. I delivered the lines I had prepared earlier. At that moment, the netizens in the live stream exploded, with bullet comments flooding the screen in waves. Damn, how shameless. Who was it that said she was wronged? I can't believe they dared to two-time Miss Shen. Where are the people who called Xia Chuqing the top sales queen? Why aren't they singing her praises now? So the jerk and the cheat used netizens as pawns. So disgusting. Looks like someone else is the thirsty one. Xia Chuqing knew she was the other woman. How dare she turn around and play the victim? That's not how it is. I'm just not sober yet. Hear me out. Lu Chenzhou strode over, trying to grab me and explain, but before he could reach me, What came first was the scent of another woman's perfume. I instinctively stepped back half a pace. A flicker of panic flashed through the man's eyes, but the next second, seeing the camera held in my hand, he more or less understood. Shen Ping'an, did you do this on purpose? Were your tears just an act too? As his words faded, I paused and raised my hand to touch my own cheek. Somehow, it was already wet. Even though my reason despised him, this wasn't 5 days, it was 5 full years of feelings. The feeling of heartbreak cannot be deceived. I entrusted 5 years of my life to someone unworthy, and that is why I am sad. Seeing this, Lu Qinzhou's voice gradually turned cold, and he commanded, turn off your phone first, I will give you an explanation. Xiao Qing comes from a humble background and has already endured great hardships to get where she is. If this gets out, it will ruin her. Even now, the first thing he thinks of is still her reputation. Looking at him, I said each word deliberately. Lu Qinzhou, what about me? You let her hang my memorial photo on the official website, allowed her to slander me, and even now, in front of everyone, you cheat and then expect me to forgive you. When you did all this, did you ever think about my reputation? Did you ever consider that I would become a target for public criticism? My voice choked, tears streaming down my cheeks, but my words were firm, each syllable deliberate. Let's break up. Upon hearing this, Lu Qinzhou froze in place. As soon as the words were spoken, Xia Chuqing suddenly stepped forward, a sneer on her face. Do you know why Qinzhou doesn't like you? It's because you're always so aggressive, throwing your weight around like a spoiled heiress. Shen Ping'an, love can't be won through threats. You chose to be a clingy wife, so don't blame me for fighting and taking what I want. Alright, that's enough. Her words were unusually interrupted by Lu Qinzhou, but Xia Chuqing still refused to let it go. Was I wrong, Qinzhou? Don't you hate this kind of pampered wife the most? Why should someone like her get to be arrogant and spoiled just because she's lucky? She's clearly a useless fool who can't do anything. As her voice trailed off, Lu Qinzhou fell silent and offered no rebuttal. I stared straight at him and couldn't help but find it laughable. So this was how he had always seen me, but what he didn't know was that I had swallowed all my pride for him. 6. Back then, Lu Qinzhou himself said he hoped I could rely on him. He was young then, with ambitions higher than the sky, and valued his pride above everything else. So at that time, I resolutely gave up my own career, set aside the title of genius investor, and returned to his group to play the role of Mrs. Lu. In the beginning, he wouldn't let me lift a finger and took care of everything for me. Surrounded by such favor and affection, I gradually became slow, and the performance of my department kept stagnating. In the past, Lu Qinzhou would pat my head affectionately and say, it's okay, I'll catch my little fool if she falls. But later, his gaze was drawn to Xia Chuqing, and he would casually bring up, a new intern has joined our department. She's very smart, you should learn from her. He admired her drive, admired her ambition, he admired her boldness and courage to fight for what she wanted, but he forgot that I, too, was once a young lady who made ruthless decisions in the business world. I was the one who built up his foundation for him. I voluntarily dulled my own bright, sharp edges, and that became his reason for growing tired of me, for thinking I lacked edge. Seeing the smug look on Xia Chuqing's face, I took a deep breath and strode over. The next second, without any hesitation, I slapped her across the face. I used every ounce of my strength. A sharp crack rang out, and half of her face immediately swelled up. She stared at me in shock and snapped, you useless piece of trash, how dare you hit me? Don't you know I'm the top salesperson? I have plenty of important clients and bosses behind me, people you can't afford to offend. I let out a scornful laugh and said, enunciating every word, since you admitted yourself that I was born under a lucky star, you should know that I've never really had to put up with any crap growing up, and this time is no different. You think you can walk all over me just because you're a mistress. You seem to have forgotten that my family, the Shen family, aren't pushovers. Do you want to call up those so-called clients and bosses of yours right now and ask if they're willing to cross me? Upon hearing this, Xia Chuqing had clearly not yet realized the seriousness of the matter. No matter how deep the Shen family's wealth runs, it will eventually run out. What the market lacks right now is talent like me. No sooner had she finished speaking than she received a phone call. The panicked voice of her department assistant came through. Miss Xia, because of the scandal you caused, our clients are all asking to cancel their contracts with you. And that's not all, they're planning to sue you, claiming your personal image has tarnished their products. You're now facing a huge penalty for breach of contract. A flash of disbelief crossed Xia Chuqing's eyes. She immediately dialed a client. Mr. Wang, we've been working together so well, why do you want to cancel the contract? I can manage this with PR, you know my capabilities. I won't let your brand's image suffer. The impatient voice of a middle-aged man came through the phone. Don't you have any idea in your heart? That's the young lady of the Shin family, old Master Shin's most beloved granddaughter. Why provoke her of all people? Don't contact me ever again. The call ended, and Xia Chuqing's face suddenly turned deathly pale at that moment, tears still on her face. She turned to look at Lu Qinzhou beside her. Brother Lu, help me, that woman is deliberately targeting me, she's bullying me. But she forgot, Lu Qinzhou despised the incompetent above all, so in response to her cajoling, he frowned almost imperceptibly. But the next second, Xia Chuqing suddenly raised her voice. I'm carrying your child, you can't just abandon me. 7 In the end, Lu Qinzhou still stepped in front of her, looking at me. Shin Ping'an, stop making things difficult for her. Seeing this, my cousin, who had arrived late, scolded me with a mix of frustration and disappointment. Lu Qinzhou, how dare you say something like that? Have you forgotten who it was that helped you rise to this position? Upon hearing this, Lu Qinzhou's expression darkened. So you think you can stand on your high horse and use your resources to bully the weak? As his words fell, my cousin could barely restrain herself from ordering someone to take action, but I stopped her and shook my head. There was nothing left to say between him and me. The scandal online lasted only a day before Lu Qinzhou completely suppressed it. Not only that, he also helped Xia Chuqing pay off the penalty for breaching the contract. At that time, Xia Chuqing moved into the home that was once our marital house and openly flaunted her rings and jewelry on social media. She publicly mocked, some people are just useless, they can't measure up at work, and after being slept with for so long, they still couldn't produce a child. Of course, it's only natural they'd be outshone. My cousin saw this and raged in front of me, that bitch is too arrogant. And then, if you ask me, you should just wipe out the Lu group along with them. Those who betray a true heart deserve to die. I didn't speak, just stared at the screen and faintly agreed. Yeah, they all deserve to die, but if they die too fast, there's no fun in it. What do you think would happen if I released the investigative report you're working on right now? Upon hearing this, a look of understanding flashed across my cousin's face. According to former employees, after Xia Chuqing returned to the group, she used me as a negative example. Whenever someone failed to meet their targets, she would humiliate them by calling them useless. In severe cases, she would even slap employees in the face. When this incident went viral, some netizens were outraged that she was bullying others with her power, while others strongly applauded her. Sure, Xia Chuqing may be climbing the ladder, but she's got the skills for it. Besides, she's an undisputed top salesperson, nothing like a useless heir living off the family fortune. Exactly, strong women go after what they want, and we should all learn from that. Girls, it's time to be fierce. At the height of the trending buzz, I turned around and released the scandal I had investigated back then. No one expected that Xia Chuqing, the so-called empowered leading lady netizens admired, was actually a serial offender who knowingly got involved with taken men and slept her way to the top. Back when she was abroad, Xia Chuqing lived off a wealthy man's affections, only to be caught by his lawful wife and slink back to China in disgrace. Even after returning, she couldn't stay out of trouble. To snatch credit for herself, she repeatedly schemed against and tripped up her own team members. She even took the initiative to let the boss exploit her sexually. When the scandal broke, Xia Chuqing rushed to defend herself. That vile woman Shin Ping'an is slandering me, but she should know that doing evil brings its own retribution, and I am merely offering a few modest thoughts to spark a deeper discussion without me having to clarify. The overlooked office workers she once bullied quickly came forward to verify. I can testify that the information is real. Back then, Xia Chuqing tricked me into drinking with an older man and let him grope me, but when the deal came through, she took all the credit. I had just entered the workforce, knowing nothing, and was dragged into sleeping my way up. Some people even tried to curry favor with the Shin family by leaking Xia Chuqing's private photos. Xia Chuqing threw herself at anyone for a deal worth a few $100,000. If I'd known she was at odds with the Shin family, I would never have slept with her. In this incident, the person who received the most criticism was Lu Qinzhou. I bet Mr. Lu deeply regrets it, turning down the devoted daughter of the Shin family only to marry a worn-out shoe that everyone has had, and who knows if the child in her belly is even his. For all we know, there's already a field of green above his head. After this incident broke out, the Lu Group's stock price kept falling due to the scandal, and I never expected to see Lu Qinzhou again under such circumstances. 8 At that moment, Lu Qinzhou was tugging at Xia Chuqing's arm outside the hospital, his voice furious. Get rid of this bastard child. But Xia Chuqing was unmoved, sneering coldly. If you abort it now, aren't you just admitting to everyone that you've been cuckolded? Besides, The child hasn't been born yet, how do you know it's not yours? Lu Chenzhou clenched his teeth tightly, seemingly not expecting the other person to be so shameless, and cursed angrily, you really disgust me. But upon hearing this, Xia Chuqing suddenly raised her voice, Lu Chenzhou, you were the one who said you liked me, and you were also the one who liked an equal match, so why are you regretting it now? You and I both came from humble beginnings. Who's nobler than whom? I'm just making reasonable use of my own resources. Weren't you once a kept pretty boy too? The only difference is that I had a few more sugar daddies, while you got lucky and landed Shenping'an as your big sponsor. In the end, we're both living off others. How much better are you than me? Lu Chenzhou was left speechless by her retort, and in the end, the two parted on bad terms. Just then, Lu Chenzhou noticed me not far away. I didn't want to get tangled up with him, so I turned to leave, but just my luck, eh? Hoarse male voice sounded behind me, and then, I never thought I'd see you again. I paused in my steps and looked back. What awful luck. Hearing this, a flicker of hurt crossed Lu Chenzhou's eyes. Are you still blaming me? I'm sorry, Anan. I was just momentarily bewitched that day. I looked at him coldly and interrupted. Really, were you also out of your mind when you let her slander me? And when you kissed her? Then you must truly be possessed by a demon. Stay away from me, Lu Chenzhou had long lost his former arrogance. Now he hung his head low, like a child who had done something wrong. I don't know what came over me. I'm a jerk. Anan, can you give me one more chance? I know I was wrong. I've only now realized that I can't lose you. Looking at his haggard appearance, I felt no sympathy at all because I knew he had brought it all upon himself. Lu Chenzhou, you once told me that you hated your father the most for cheating and being abusive. If it were you, would you give him another chance? You don't realize you were wrong. You're just disappointed that your life now is different from what you imagined, and you regret it. But there's no turning back in life. Everyone has to pay the price for their choices. Upon hearing this, Lu Chenzhou's voice faltered. I didn't give him another chance to speak. I turned and walked away. After a long moment, I heard Lu Chenzhou murmuring to himself from behind, I'm sorry. I'm the one who failed our relationship. I'll make it up to you. And then, since that day, I heard that Lu Chenzhou and Xia Chuqing had completely fallen out. Not only did he fail to help Xia Chuqing suppress the trending topics or clean up the mess, but he also spread her scandals far and wide. He even went so far as to spend millions on buying trending topics. One must know that this amount was almost all the remaining funds of Lu Group in no time. Everyone on the streets knew what Xia Chuqing had done, truly achieving social death in every sense. Everyone said that President Lu was using the family fortune to vent my anger, giving back the wrongs I had suffered. I couldn't be bothered to respond to any of this. In the end, the Lu Group was declared bankrupt, and Lu Chenzhou accidentally pushed Xia Chuqing during an argument between them. She fell down the stairs, lost the baby, and was left permanently disabled. Lu Chenzhou was also sentenced to 5 years in prison for intentional assault. When I heard this news, I was already on my way abroad for a vacation. My cousin said that Lu Chenzhou had been trying every possible way to write to me while in prison. She and I smiled at each other, both knowing what the other was thinking. Late affection is worth less than grass. That's the end of the first story. I hope you liked it. The next ones will be even more exciting, so let's continue reading together. If I had a choice, I'd pick Xia as my sister-in-law, when her boyfriend's younger sister, Bai Ruoling, said this in public. She even rolled her eyes at me. Everyone thought I would lose my temper, and they all waited to see a bloody battle between us future sisters-in-law. But instead, I smiled, agreed with her, and announced on the spot that I was breaking up with my boyfriend. My boyfriend said I was being ridiculous, but I left the campsite that very night, and even though he clearly saw me go, he didn't try to stop me. Instead, he turned to comfort the girl named Xia, saying, sorry for making you feel awkward. On behalf of Wei, I apologize to you. Far from being upset, I was actually full of anticipation. This way, on the way back, I wouldn't have to lose the use of my right arm, saving Bai Ruoling in the car accident, only to end up despised by her whole family. Without my desperate rescue, would Bai Ruoling have survived? I'm really looking forward to the result. One, in my previous life, Bai Ruoling humiliated me like that on the spot as well. I splashed the entire glass of beer right in her face. The future sisters-in-law came to blows, and it was quite a spectacular scene. My boyfriend Bai Ruoyu blatantly took their side, looking after only his sister and his sister's best friend, Xia. Even though I pulled out a big chunk of Bai Ruoling's hair and kicked Xia, who had been making snide and veiled remarks the whole time, and seemed to win the fight, I still lost all my dignity. But even so, I didn't leave that very night, because Bai Ruoyu wasn't just my boyfriend, he was also my boss. I was afraid that if I Burned my bridges completely. I wouldn't just lose my boyfriend, but my job as well. After all, I'm just a young professional from a second-tier provincial capital, trying to make it in Haicheng, and on top of that, I work as a secretary, a role with no specialized skills, one that could be replaced by someone else at a moment's notice. With my run-of-the-mill liberal arts degree from a 211 university. Finding another job in Haicheng's current job market is extremely difficult, and my parents, who have always hoped I'd make something of myself, would never agree to me moving back to Lincheng to start over. In their words, Lincheng is a place where you need a strong network of personal connections to live comfortably, and with their small tailor shop barely making ends meet, they simply don't have the means to line up a decent job for me. They said that if I got into a university in Haicheng but ultimately couldn't stay there, it would only make me a laughingstock for them in my past life. I spent a whole night alone in a dark corner of the campsite, feeling miserable. Bai Ruoyu didn't come out to look for me the entire night. It wasn't until after watching the sunrise the next day that I mustered the nerve to show up, successfully fending off Xia and taking the passenger seat. My thinking was simple and blunt. Until I found my next job, I was going to hold on tight to my status as Bai Ruoyu's girlfriend. On the way back, our car veered off the road to avoid a truck and flipped over. Both Bai Ruoling and I were seated on the right side of the car and were thrown out together, ending up hanging off a cliff. Bai Ruoling had only managed to grab a thin branch, whereas I had hold of the main trunk. Just as the small branch Bai Ruoling was holding onto was about to break, I set aside past grievances and resolutely grabbed her with my right arm. Although Bai Ruoyu and Xia were not thrown out of the vehicle, Bai Ruoyu was so focused on saving Xia, who had only scratched her skin, that he had no time to care about whether Bai Ruoling or I lived or died. I forced myself to hold on until passing drivers worked together to rescue us. In the end, Bai Ruoling was completely unharmed, but my right arm was ruined due to prolonged blood loss. The media reported my heroic act of saving someone, as Bai Ruoyu's company was at a critical stage in its IPO. The Bai family, for the sake of appearances, made Bai Ruoyu marry me. Not only was Bai Ruoling not grateful that I had saved her life, but she also blamed me for using the favor to demand repayment, claiming I had ruined her brother's bright future. What's more, Bai Ruoling even moved into the small home Bai Ruoyu and I shared, bringing in Xia along, saying it was closer to their university. She was utterly determined to do whatever it took to put in Xia into Bai Ruoyu's bed. I had another fight with Bai Ruoling. I only had one usable arm, and Bai Ruoyu not only refused to help me but also accused me of being petty, saying I couldn't even tolerate his own sister. Then he turned around and gently comforted Xia. Sorry you got scared. I'm the one in charge in this house. You and my sister can stay as long as you like. No need to care about what anyone else thinks. When my in-laws found out, they also came to support their biological daughter. My father-in-law slammed the table and shouted, "This house belongs to the Bai family. My daughter can stay here whenever she wants. Who do you think you are, eh? Shuang, to have any say in this?" My mother-in-law rolled her eyes and said, "We've already agreed to let Ruoyu marry you. What more do you want? Don't think that just because you saved our daughter's life, you can boss us around forever. You don't get to call the shots in this family." Bai Ruoling even tried to turn the tables. "Mom, Dad, you're too kind. That arm of hers was probably already useless before she saved me. She just seized the perfect chance to pin it on our family." I was so angry I laughed. "So, you're blaming me for pulling you up back then?" Bai Ruoling puffed out her chest, full of confidence. "Of course, if you don't take the initiative to reach out and grab me, I'll just swing over and catch the main trunk myself." After thinking for a moment, she pushed Xia forward again. "Besides, if you're willing to give up the passenger seat to Xia, who gets carsick, she'll definitely be able to grab me in an emergency. Neither of us will fall off the cliff." Finally, she sealed the deal. "And Xia is way sharper than you. She's the only one fit to be my sister-in-law." I turned to look at Bai Ruoyu, who had been silent the whole time. "Do you think so too?" Bai Ruoyu didn't answer me directly. Instead, he rubbed his temples in irritation. "Shuang Wei, enough. It's just my sister bringing a classmate to stay over. Do you really have to be so petty? How long are you going to keep this up? If you don't want to make it work, then get a divorce and get out." I had hoped to find some comfort in him, but now my heart turned completely cold. As if that weren't enough, Bai Ruoling clapped and cheered without a care for her own safety. "Divorce, divorce, yes, divorce. Bro, you've finally come to your senses. This is awesome." She shoved Xia into her brother's arms. "You two better lock it down right now. Ideally, you'll give me a little nephew by tonight." Bai Ruoyu didn't dodge, and Xia shrank in his arms and, acting all shy and bashful, apologized to me. "Sister Zhuang, sorry about that. Ruoling was just joking with you." I thought that although she was a bit of a schemer, she at least had some sense of shame. Then, out of nowhere, she changed her tune. But, Sister Zhuang, to be fair, you really should stop using your kindness as leverage. You've already got Ruoyu, now you should be sweet to him and make him happy. Instead, you've turned the house upside down. Ruoyu looks like a living person on the verge of death. It's heartbreaking. A favor should be repaid once, not held over his head for a lifetime, don't you think? Bai Ruoyu's parents nodded in agreement, all convinced that I was an ungrateful troublemaker, unable to find a job with my disabled hand. I wouldn't even properly take care of their son. In their eyes, their son marrying me was the worst luck possible. There was no way I could out-argue the five of them on my own. In the end, overwhelmed with emotion, I stormed into the kitchen and came back out with a kitchen knife. My mind was such a mess at the time that after being reborn, I only remember that in the end, I was the only one left standing in the living room too. After being reborn, the first words I heard were by Ruoling saying she hoped Xia would become her sister-in-law. I no longer felt the righteous indignation of my previous life. On the contrary, I was more than happy to help make it happen, so I smiled and clapped, saying, I second that. To show my sincerity, I stood up and announced, from this moment on, Bai Ruoyu and I are no longer in a relationship. From now till the end of our days, whether in marriage or in death, we go our separate ways. Bai Ruoling's eyes lit up. If you've got the guts, then actually follow through. I nodded solemnly and raised 3 fingers. If I fail, may I be struck by lightning, run over by a car when I go out, and choked to death on water at home. Bai Ruoyu furrowed his brows and gently scolded me. Wei, don't join Ruoling in this nonsense. The words were directed at me, but the sidelong glance was clearly assessing Xia's reaction. Xia pressed her lips into a smile and pinched Bai Ruoling's arm. Alright, Lingling, you're making Sister Zhuang lose face. What face does she have to lose? Bai Ruoling curled her lip dismissively. She's just a country bumpkin. No need to be so polite. Though I wanted nothing more than to flee from these terrible people, I never intended to tuck my tail and run, so I still splashed that glass of beer from my past life right into Bai Ruoling's face. Only this time, unlike my previous life, I didn't just stand there foolishly waiting for her to strike back. I took the initiative. Grabbing Bai Ruoling by the hair from behind, I held on tight, immobilizing her body so she couldn't move. Xia thought I was still the same Zhuang Wei who, though impulsive, would endure humiliation for the greater good. She rushed forward to save Bai Ruoling, but I mercilessly kicked her to the ground. In my past life, I could take down a group of people with a single knife in hand. Now, with all my limbs intact, dealing with a fake innocent who isn't even trying her best is as easy as turning my hand over. Bai Ruoyu tried to rush over and pull me away, but I loudly threatened him, you'd better not move, or I can't guarantee what might come out of my mouth. To secure funding, Bai Ruoyu was drugged by a male benefactor, though it didn't go all the way. A video was recorded. I was the one who rescued him, and that's how we met. He pursued me, saying it was out of gratitude for my beauty and kindness, but I knew deep down it was more about keeping my mouth shut. Of course, my good looks are the primary factor. I can say without much modesty that if I weren't so stubborn, given his current financial standing, he wouldn't even qualify to be my boyfriend. Being filmed by a male sugar daddy is Bai Ruoyu's Achilles heel. He would rather die than have anyone know about it. He guessed that I still have a copy of that video, so the moment I spoke up, he froze in his tracks. The other fair-weather friends, wanting to avoid trouble at all costs, had already wisely stepped aside. Among them was Xia, the one who had sarcastically humiliated me in my past life. As long as I'm not afraid to die, it's the others who will be. My demeanor was far more formidable than in my previous life, and Xia didn't dare provoke me and shrank behind Bai Ruoyu like a cowed quail. Bai Ruoling's hair was pulled so hard by me that it hurt her badly, and she kept wailing. I kicked the back of her knee, forcing her to kneel and listen to me. I'm curious, someone like Miss Bai, who scored less than 150 total in the 3 main subjects of the college entrance exam, do you even know how to write the characters for Country Bumpkin? Your parents swindled the neighbors in the countryside and moved to the city just a few years ago, and already you're using country folk as an insult. Would you say that's a failing of your family, or just bad parenting? Do you know why truly established old money families never use the word country folk to insult people? Because the more depth a person has, the more they understand that country folk are the very foundation of this society, and deserve the most respect. And you're the kind of nouveau riche who fed on the blood of your own country neighbors to settle in Haicheng. I couldn't help but kick Bai Ruoling in the rear. You're just rootless duckweed. A bunch of fools who look down on where you came from just to pretend you're superior. I pressed Bai Ruoling's head down and made her look at everyone one by one, finally coming face to face with Xia. I can tell you with full confidence, in the minds of your so-called best friend and all these Haiching pals of yours, you're nothing but a rich, dumb country bumpkin. The others, their thoughts laid bare, each unconsciously took another step back. I couldn't help but laugh out loud. Remember, no matter how loudly a frog at the bottom of a well croaks, it doesn't change the fact that all it can ever see is a patch of sky no bigger than a palm. You should be grateful that I'm just an ordinary citizen, not the country bumpkin you speak of. I yanked Bai Ruoling's hair hard, forcing her to look up at me. Otherwise, you wouldn't even be worthy of kneeling before me to listen. 3. I released Bai Ruoling and returned to the tent to gather my personal belongings. By the time I had my backpack on and walked out of the tent, Bai Ruoyu was already standing in front of the adjacent tent. He saw me, and he saw the bag on my shoulder. He knew full well that I was leaving that very night, but he didn't try to stop me. Instead, he lowered his head to comfort Xia, who was cowering beside him. I'm sorry you were embarrassed. On Wei Yi's behalf, I apologize to you. I let out a mocking laugh. Mr. Bai, this habit of yours of speaking for others, it runs in the family, doesn't it? Bai Ruoling liked to speak for the people of Haiching, while Mr. and Mrs. Bai preferred to speak for the wealthy of Haiching. Since you're so fond of speaking for others, why don't you speak for me and decide whether it's my left cheek or my right that I should slap? Bai Ruoyu didn't dare to be tough with me. He could only sigh. Wei, how did you become so unreasonable? It was all because your family pushed me to it in the previous life. I pressed my lips into a smile. Mr. Bai, you're not my boyfriend anymore. Please don't address me so intimately. Instead of wasting your breath condemning me, why not think about how much severance pay you should give me? That would put your mind more at ease. I turned around and waved without looking back. Don't expect me to resign on my own. By midnight tonight, I expect to see a satisfactory amount of severance pay in my account. Otherwise, I really can't keep my mouth shut. I took the camp shuttle and left overnight. As we passed the downhill curve where my previous life had ended, my heart clenched. Fortunately, there were few cars at night, and the driver was a veteran who ran this route many times a day, so we glided smoothly through the bend. Just as I was heaving a sigh of relief, I received a message from Bai Ruoyu. Wei, stop fooling around, go back and calm down. We are not breaking up. Ha, so he didn't even want to pay severance. I shot back a reply. Breaking up is a notice to you, not a request for your opinion. When you put another woman's feelings above my dignity, breaking up is the inevitable result. Don't try to trap me with your words. I won't give you the chance you want. As for severance, give it according to my value to the company, within reasonable and legal bounds. I won't reply again, so don't waste your effort. What Bai Ruoyu wanted was nothing more than for me to let slip some written threat against him, so he could use it to bind me in a mutual standoff and save himself a large sum of hush money. How could I possibly fall for that after living a second life? After some thought, I decided to put his mind at ease. You should be glad that I'm a person of my word and always prefer to resolve things in one go. Also, please be sure to note in the transfer that it's the company severance package. As long as the money comes through, I definitely won't release that video, nor will I keep asking him for more. Bai Ruoyu understood what I meant. Before I returned to my apartment in Haiching, I received a transfer of 2 million yuan with the note company severance package. I didn't bargain with him any further. Knowing when to stop is one of my virtues. Early the next morning, I dragged my suitcase to the coastal new town of Haiching. It's far from the city center, with few people around, but the scenery is incredibly soothing. The sunrises and sunsets here are especially breathtaking, capable of making anyone forget all their worries. A decent apartment in the city center would cost at least 10 million, but here, I spent only 1 million on a one-bedroom, one-living-room elevator apartment in a pretty good location. Since the other party had no mortgage and I paid in full, the property transfer was completed on the same day. The landlord was very straightforward and handed over the keys on the spot without waiting for the escrow funds to arrive. As I was busy tidying up my new home in the evening, my phone alarm went off. That was when I suddenly remembered that the car accident in my previous life had happened at exactly this time. To make sure I got the first taste of the drama on time, I had set the alarm right after leaving the campsite last night. After a full day of being busy, if I hadn't set the alarm, I would have almost forgotten all about keeping up with the gossip, for I was really curious, without me fighting for the passenger seat, how would the car accident play out? So I couldn't wait to open Little Red Book, Zaya Hongshu. The all-pervasive internet quickly satisfied my craving for gossip. In the video uploaded by a netizen, you could see Bai Ruoling and Xia hanging from a tree on the edge of a cliff. It was exactly the same situation as in my previous life, except that Xia had taken my place. So, without even guessing, It was clear that this time Xia had successfully secured the passenger seat, with no need to rescue the love interest who had grazed her scalp. Bai Ruoyu now had the time to rush to the cliff's edge and save someone. He first grabbed Xia, who was closest to him, but he only managed to catch her fingers in. Xia's other hand was holding onto a tree branch to keep herself from falling. Moreover, like me back then, and Xia's leg was stuck in the tree fork and was clearly fractured. Bai Ruoyu couldn't pull her up just by holding her fingers. I remember in my previous life, a kind-hearted driver lowered a safety rope and helped pull my leg out of the tree fork, which was how I was successfully rescued. The ones filming the video were probably the same kind of reckless friends, not kicking someone when their down was already merciful of them. There was no them to venture down the cliff to save anyone. In the video, the small branch Bai Ruoling was holding on to began to snap, and she let out a terrified scream, and Xia did not reach out to help her as she had hoped. Instead, she clung to the tree trunk herself and kept urging Bai Shanyu to pull her up as quickly as possible. Bai Ruoyu, after all, was her real brother. Seeing the situation, he decisively let go of Xia and carefully climbed down from the curb. He hugged the nearby tree trunk and then extended one hand to reach for Bai Ruoling. The moment their hands clasped, the small branch snapped completely and fell off the cliff. Like me in my past life, Bai Ruoyu supported Bai Ruoling's entire body with just one arm. Like in the past life, many kind-hearted drivers passing by stopped to help, but unlike the previous life, both of the only trees sturdy enough to support a person were already occupied, so rescuers couldn't use another tree as a leverage point the way they did before. Therefore, even the kind-hearted man who had saved me in my past life showed up. He couldn't quickly climb down and pull anyone up the way he had done before. Therefore, Bai Ruoyu managed to drag Bai Ruoling with just one arm for even longer than I did in my previous life. The kind-hearted man with the safety rope first helped Xia, who was relatively easier to rescue, up to safety by the time he descended to Bai Ruoling's level and was about to help pull her up. Bai Ruoyu couldn't hold on any longer. Before the kind-hearted man could even get a firm grip on Bai Ruoling's hand, he let go. Bai Ruoling let out a heartbreaking scream and fell off the cliff. I thought that was the end, so I began negotiating with my conscience, trying to get permission to pop the champagne. An hour later, before I could reach a settlement with my conscience, I came across the latest update. Bai Ruoling had been found by the rescue team, and she was still alive. I hurried to catch the subway, and after a 2.5-hour journey with multiple transfers, I made it to the downtown hospital to see how the story ends. 5. Bai Ruoyu hadn't told his parents about our breakup, so I rushed to the operating room entrance and unashamedly settled in to watch the drama unfold. Bai's mother saw me bouncing around full of energy and glared at me with gritted teeth. How come you're completely fine? I answered matter-of-factly. Your daughter said she hopes Xia will be her sister-in-law, so I scrammed and stepped aside last night. Bai's mother wanted to take her anger out on me but couldn't find an excuse, so she just stared blankly. Bai Ruoyu was the first to be wheeled out of the operating room. The result was the same as in my previous life, avascular necrosis in his right arm. The doctor saved the arm, but not its function. Bai Ruoyu was wheeled out after the anesthesia wore off. When he saw me, he suddenly burst into tears. I'm sorry, Wei. Now I finally understand how remarkable you were back then. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have treated you like that. Hiss, I was so shocked. So, this guy had been reborn too. Unfortunately, the timing of his rebirth wasn't as lucky as mine. Heaven really knows my heart. I quickly ran through the pain of my past life in my mind, just to keep myself from laughing out loud. Oh, it's okay. I already got my revenge on the spot anyway. My words, along with my desperate attempt to hold back a laugh, successfully made Bai Ruoyu lose his composure. His eyes widened. Why you also? Yes, I nodded with certainty. So don't kid yourself. Just accept being an ex-boyfriend. Don't think you can play pitiful and trick me into marrying you just to wait on you hand and foot for the rest of your life. Bai Ruoyu's parents didn't fully understand what we were saying, but the words ex-boyfriend came through loud and clear. Bai Ruoyu's mother glanced around shiftily, then suddenly took my arm affectionately. Just look after Ruoyu tonight, alright? I'll head back right now and make your favorite braised pork with preserved mustard greens. You're welcome. I yanked my hand back. As an ex-girlfriend, how could I overstep like that? And Xia should be the one to accompany him. Bai Ruoyu's business has nothing to do with me anymore. I purposely emphasized the words ex-girlfriend so that Bai's mother couldn't keep pretending to misunderstand. The corner of Bai's mother's mouth twitched, and she gave an awkward smile. And Xia injured her leg. She can barely take care of herself, let alone look after Ruoyu. That's even less of my concern. I came here to watch the drama, not to be used up by you all. I stepped back 2 paces to keep Bai's mother from grabbing my arm again. Coming to take a look is already the most I can do. Auntie, don't get any ideas. Bai's father, unconvinced, shouted at me. You girl really are heartless. I should never have agreed to let Ruoyu be with you in the first place. Old dang. I couldn't help raising my voice. Cutting through old man Bai's barking. You can eat whatever you want, but you can't just say whatever comes to mind. Back then, I was the one who did your son a favor. He begged me on his knees to be his girlfriend, and I only agreed because I thought he looked somewhat decent. If you keep spouting nonsense and making it sound like I'm taking advantage of your family, I'll have no choice but to show you some evidence. I pulled out my phone and made a move as if I were about to show him the video. Bai Ruoyu started barking wildly at his dad. Dad, what the hell is wrong with you? I'm already in this state, you won't help me win Wei over, and on top of that, you're running your mouth. If you're just going to make things worse, then get the hell back home. Bai Ruoyu was both the family's cash cow and its backbone. Seeing him lose his temper, old man Bai immediately backed down. There was a reason this guy could swindle his neighbors out of a fortune and still live so freely. He had some real skill. 1 minute he was giving me the stink eye, the next he was fawning over me. Wei, I was just worried and spoke out of turn. Don't take it to heart, okay? I raised my hand in a stop gesture. I didn't need to hear the rest. It would definitely be some sob story followed by trying to guilt trip me into taking care of their son. I'm just an onlooker, not someone with nothing better to do, so I can't be bothered to listen to his nonsense. Sorry, I have to go. The old Bai couple wanted to stop me but didn't dare, so they could only watch helplessly as I strode away. 6 But I didn't go far. After leaving the hospital, I grabbed a hearty meal at a fast food restaurant and then doubled back. By the time I arrived, Bai Ruoling had just been wheeled out of the operating room. The old Bai couple were probably too focused on guarding their son, so they weren't waiting outside the operating room for their daughter, so I swallowed my pride and started chatting with the doctor. Acting like a sister-in-law, the doctor was highly professional and told me everything without holding back. According to the doctor, Bai Ruoling had injured her cervical spine. The best outcome of surgery would be to restore upper limb function, but there was no hope for her lower limbs. Bai Ruoling was destined never to stand up again in her life. I was very satisfied with this outcome and couldn't wait to rush to the ward to tell Bai Ruoling in person. Bai Ruoling was quiet at first, but after hearing me say that she would never stand up again, she suddenly raised her voice and shouted at me, Shuang Wei, did you already have a rebirth? Sigh, I gasped again. Heaven, don't love me too much. Not only did you give me a mass rebirth, but you also crippled all the bad guys afterward. Am I really that worthy of your love? For some reason, I feel oddly guilty. I was just wondering what kind of smile to use to congratulate Bai Ruoling on getting the right answer when she suddenly burst into tears again. Wei, I was wrong. I shouldn't have treated you that way. You are my real sister-in-law. Please, let me live this life over again. I'm begging you. Tisk, TSK, TSK. I shook my head helplessly. It's no use begging me. I don't have that kind of power. After some thought, considering we've known each other for years, if not love, then at least there's hate, I figured I should still kick her while she's down, as a way to thank heaven for giving me such a great chance to be reborn. So I cleared my throat and began coaxing her. Ruoling, stop crying. No matter how much you cry, it's useless. You won't get the chance to stand up again in this lifetime. Bai Ruoling cried even louder. I got even more excited, but I asked the doctor, and there's still a chance for your hands to recover. I think, as long as you have enough perseverance and practice hard, you'll still be able to lift a knife. After all, the sister-in-law you chose yourself clearly could have held you back like I did, but she didn't. As for how to vent this anger, I already showed you in my past life, and you've experienced it yourself. Anyway, you have plenty of time now, so just think it over carefully. Oh, I've already found out for you. Your dear sister-in-law is in room 26, on the 6th floor. That's all the help I can give you. After thinking it over, leaving just like that did seem a bit disloyal, so I changed my tune. No, I can still help you buy diapers. Do you have any favorite brands? Bai Ruoling had actually stopped crying when she heard there was still a chance for her to wield a knife again, but now, hearing me ask her to choose diapers, she burst into earth-shattering sobs once more. Shuang Wei, are you a demon? I shook my head seriously. Of course not. I'm just an ordinary person forced by a bunch of demons to live my life over again. Not wanting to hear her wailing any longer, I took my leave. Looks like you look down on us country folks' taste, so I won't buy them for you. Let's part ways here. And may we not meet again in this lifetime. I flicked my sleeves, carrying away not a single tear. 7 Since I'm here anyway, I naturally treat everyone equally. I might as well drop in on Miss Xia, who in my past life told me to know my limits and not seek repayment for my kindness. She hadn't saved Bai Ruoling, so her arm was unharmed, only suffering a fractured thigh bone. Rest and recuperation would be enough. Both of her parents were traveling abroad. Leaving her alone in the hospital room, hearing the door creak, she turned her head with a look of pleasant surprise, realizing it was me. Her face immediately darkened. What are you doing here? What else? I'm here to congratulate you, I answered without a second thought, crossed my arms, and swaggered to her bedside. Congratulations on surviving a near disaster. Now you're in for some real blessings. And plenty of blessings they are. From what I know of Bai Ruoling, even if she doesn't take my advice to stab Xia to death, she'll definitely find a way to make Xia's life worse than death. I'm quite confident about that. Just so you know, Bai Ruoyu is yours now. Enjoy him. And Xia immediately got anxious. I don't want that cripple. If you want him, take him back. You shouldn't be so stubborn. I curled my lip and shook my head disdainfully. I pulled out my phone and held up a photo I had taken downstairs just now for her to see. The photo was taken at the hospital entrance after I returned from my meal. The man in the photo is Xia's boyfriend. Yes, she already has a boyfriend. The reason she's so eager to become Bai Ruoyu's mistress is that her boyfriend is a scoundrel who wants 10 million before he'll break up with her. And Xia noticed how gullible Bai Ruoling and her brother were, so she decided to take the 10 million from them. Her boyfriend only cared about money, so he went along and helped her hide her identity. I found this out through a private detective in my past life, but unfortunately, I never had the chance to use this juicy bit back then. And Xia is a great actress, so Bai Ruoling always thought she was an innocent, easy-to-manipulate young woman. That's why she wanted her as her sister-in-law, thinking she could take advantage of her brother forever. In the end, she invited a wolf into the house and nearly lost her life. Seeing the photos, and Xia immediately realized she had been exposed, so she decided to act out in desperation. Fine, what do you want to do with me? I put away my phone and shrugged. You're overthinking it. What can I do to you? I'm a law-abiding citizen. And Xia looked utterly unconvinced. I smiled and told the truth. But if you successfully marry Bai Ruoyu, I can promise not to tell the Bai family about this. I figured she should know that if the Bai family found out they had been schemed against by her, they would place the blame for all the ensuing disasters squarely on her shoulders. Given how the Bai parents had no shame in swindling even their neighbor's medical money, and Xia would likely have no way out but death. Perhaps Xia had also looked into the Bai parents' character, because upon hearing my conditions, she immediately agreed. Fine, I promise you, I will find a way to marry Bai Ruoyu, but you have to promise to keep your mouth shut. Dream on. Just marrying him is not enough. I looked at her like she was a fool. Wouldn't that be too easy for you? That would let you get your hands on the Bai family's money. And Xia looked anxious. Then what exactly do you want me to do? Relax, I said, feeling particularly good seeing how tense she was. It's not like I'm asking you to commit arson or murder. I just need you to get the marriage license with him within a week. Then livestream me half an hour of your chaotic life together every day. She finally understood. You want me to get back at them for you, to torment Bai Ruoyu every day, and the rest of the Bai family, I added. She quickly nodded. Okay, I get it. I won't let you down, but you have to keep your word too. I made an okay gesture and walked out of the hospital room, satisfied. Letting the rotten people fight among themselves is the most effortless form of revenge. My time should be spent building a better future. Why waste it on rotten people? 8 The Lakeview startup apartments I bought are mostly one-bedroom, one-living-room units of about 50 square meters. The vast majority of residents here are young entrepreneurs like me, working in all kinds of industries. Growing up surrounded by the atmosphere of my parents' tailor shop, I developed a deep love for handmade fabric crafts. In college, a bag I made from old jeans once attracted a crowd of female admirers on campus, who begged me to open a shop. Unfortunately, influenced by my parents, I also believed that a small handicraft workshop had no future, especially after leaving my hometown to attend university in Haicheng. Making a living from this craft felt downright embarrassing, but after reuniting with my senior schoolmate Ai Yun last year, my views completely changed. Ai Yun is 3 years ahead of me. After graduation, she boldly set aside her major and started her own fabric art studio. She travels to craft fairs all over the country to sell her original fabric creations. Eventually, the money she made from selling her fabric goods was no longer enough for her, so she chose to become a fair organizer. She founded the craft fair brand Yanji Zawu. With the slogan, "Speak from the heart with your hands," it not only gained recognition nationwide but also built a certain level of influence abroad. Now, Many foreign artisan creators have signed up to join the fairs she organizes. Back when she saw the fabric bags, book covers, coin purses, and other pieces I had made on campus, she was amazed by my unique imagination and strongly encouraged me to start my own business. It wasn't until years later, after attending several of the fairs she organized and seeing how happily and profitably other artisan creators worked, that I realized how ridiculous I had been, looking down on craftspeople while clinging to a miserable white-collar job that was barely worth the effort. After I told Ai Yin about my decision to start my own business, she immediately sent me an invitation to join the Yanjizawu Fair at the end of the month in Haicheng. She even specially arranged a prime booth for me and said she wouldn't charge me any booth fees. As a way to support my venture, I worked frantically to produce a batch of fabric crafts. After setting up my booth, I waited nervously for customers to arrive. Yanjizawu had such a strong influence that on the first day, the people queuing to enter wrapped all the way around the exhibition hall. No two of my fabric crafts were the same, and there were no similar products anywhere else at the venue. The first customer took a liking to my fabric table lamp. When I nervously quoted the price of 398, I was afraid they would roll their eyes at me when setting the price. I had looked up the prices of handmade lamps both domestically and internationally. Most foreign ones cost over 1,000. And domestic ones were also several hundred. Choosing 398 already felt like overrating myself. The customer's eyes widened when they heard my quote. Just as I was hesitating over how much discount to offer, the customer exclaimed, "Only 398 for something so unique? I'll take two." I breathed a huge sigh of relief and hurriedly packed the items for them. I was utterly amazed by the spending power of Haicheng's residents. In just one day, all my creations were sold out. Looking at the tens of thousands of yuan in my account, I wept tears of happiness while also reproaching myself for almost starving to death despite mastering such a valuable craft. Over the next 3 days of the market, I gave my booth to Wu Shuang, a ceramicist who lived upstairs. Wu Shuang had always worked in isolation, only occasionally selling a few pieces on Little Red Book, completely unaware that things like handmade markets even existed. Good deeds bring good rewards. When I was home with a fever, Wu Shuang stayed by my bedside until I recovered. Over the following period, Wu Shuang and I worked hard to build up our collections, then traveled across the country with Ai Yin to set up stalls. Ai Yin opened up international sales channels, and because of their unique designs, my works are always bought up as soon as they hit the shelves. Left with no choice, I had to come clean to my parents. When my parents heard that I had given up being a white-collar worker to become an artisan, they were upset for 2 days, but once they learned I was making much more money than before, they immediately packed up, moved in with me, and started helping out. So I handle the design and prototyping while my parents take care of production. And just like that, our family workshop was born. While traveling around the country to set up stalls, I also took them sightseeing locally. If it hadn't been for the news that Bai Ruoling had stabbed in Xia, leaving her unable to have children, I would have completely forgotten that I was someone reborn, someone who, in a past life, had been trapped in a maelstrom of consciousness and driven down a dead end by toxic people. After watching the news, I finally remembered my deal with Xia. When I opened WeChat, Xia had over 99 unread messages. I randomly opened one, and it was a video of Xia humiliating Bai Ruoyu for being useless. I glanced at it for a moment and then closed it. There's an international market coming up, and I have plenty of creative ideas to monetize. Why would I have time to care about the troubles of miserable people? No matter how badly they get treated, it can never replace the joy that making money brings me anymore. That's the story for today. If you enjoyed today's story, don't forget to like and subscribe. New and exciting content is brought to you every week, so you won't want to miss it. Also, feel free to leave your thoughts and feelings in the comments section so we can discuss together. Remember to turn on the notification bell so you never miss an update on any story. Thank you all for your support, and see you in the next episode.